up on Summit, headed out, not quite all the way to New Sugar Creek, but it's pretty busy most of the way out there. Not a solid jam, but we had an earlier crash there. Southbound 170, you've got delays coming down from just about Olive. It's a little more solid at Ladue. Westbound 64 Boyle, headed out through McCausland's, backed up at Slow Lindbergh to 270. Long Road out through the Boone Bridge, 94 most of the way to Winghaven, and 364 out to 70. Westbound Highway 70 delays from Kings Highway past Jennings Station. From 170 all the way to Earth City, there's heavy stuff through Highway K, and then west of Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Southbound 55 Arsenal through Bates, you've got stop-and-go pockets. Route 3 at Monsanto, a train crossing southbound's backed up to the Poplar. Westbound 64 approaching 158 to Greenmount is stop-and-go. I'm Roger Brand in the Michael's FlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Welcome in. It's a Tuesday edition of Rush Hour Sports right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Bernie Miklasz is alongside. We've got you for the next hour. I'll have you for Sports Open Line after that. So just sit on down, spend the next 3 hours and more with us here at KMOX. Bernie, always good to see you and talk to you. How are you today?
Doing good. Busy day, man. I keep going and going and going. I love it that way, but I don't know. I'm ready for a beer. I don't know about you.
All right. That I will never be mad at anybody for that. We have a little bit of breaking news here at the moment because just moments ago, 4 minutes ago, I got a press release from the Cardinals announcing the players that they had selected the contracts of. So these are the players that they are protecting from being selected in the Rule 5 draft by other teams. Outfielder Joshua Baez, catcher Leonardo Bernal, and left-hand pitchers Cooper Jerpy and Bryson Mounts are the players who have been added to the 40-man roster, while right-handed pitcher Jorge Alcala, who was arbitration eligible, he has been designated for assignment, so he comes off the 40-man. I guess just anything jump out at you at that?
Not really. I think that's a pretty common list of what we expected. Now, depending on who you read, and I respect the people that keep close tabs on Cardinals prospects. I mean, they were worried about some others, and also wondering if they would keep Yerpe only from the standpoint that they've already got some injury-prone or injured players on their 40-man already. You know, so how many more of those can you load up? So I don't know. You know, what do you think? I mean, am I missing anything?
No, I don't think you're missing anything. I think it's a good opportunity to take a step back and say what a year Joshua Baez had, because if we're talking 365 days ago, there's no chance that he's in this spot. And we're looking at this guy as being one of the prospect level players that just never came to fruition for the Cardinals, and certainly no guarantee that he still is going to. But man, did he put together a year this past year where he opened up some eyes.
Listen, he's a great example of how when you have a very good player development operation, which also includes the physical performance people that it isn't just about, hitting technique or this or that, but it's about body movement. It's about the mental approach. And, they got Joshua Baez together, two different groups of Cardinals people that work with prospects, and they got him together, and they not only worked with him on changing his plate approach and to have more plate discipline, and it was a smashing success, but the physical performance people worked with him away from the field on his body movement. Mm-hmm. They noticed some things, said, look, you got to smooth out your body, man. You're not getting a direct path to the ball. So we're going to work with you in the gym, and we're going to make sure your body movement is in sync with where it should be. And talking to some Cardinals people, they're saying that's a great example of how this is supposed to work. So Joshua Baez got all this great instructions on two different levels, and all of a sudden his career took off, and all of a sudden he's one of the more highly regarded prospects in baseball, and he's just rocketed up the Cardinals list. And Baseball America said that Joshua Baez could be in St. Louis sometime in 2026. and they project him as a guy who can hit 30 home runs and steal 30 bases. That would be pretty good, I think.
We all get frustrated about different parts of what's gone wrong with the Cardinals over the last few years. Bernie, there's nothing that frustrates me more with the fact that they did not allow their young players coming up to become the best version of themselves because they didn't have the instruction and they didn't have other types of infrastructure, whether it's technology, whether it's personalized planning, like everything that they've put in, a lot of the stuff that Rob Cerfolio has been very involved with since he's been with the Cardinals, all these things that didn't exist. It's like buying this brand new car and then never changing the oil. It's wild that it went down the way it went down over the last few years.
And Cerfolio was a key hire, as we all know, because it was Cerfolio and Larry Day who, in effect, did an intervention on Baez and said, "Look, we got to help this kid. We got to break things down, but we got to give him the help he needs on two different levels." And we'll get our performance group and we'll get our player development group and we'll work together and we'll get this kid on the right track. And that's exactly what they did. So for the people who inexplicably, at least to me, don't understand what this player development fuss is all about, and they're mad because the Cardinals aren't going to waste money on $18 million on a number 4 starting pitcher or whatever. I don't know what people need to know why what they're doing down below in the minors and the player development, why it's so important. I don't know what they need to know. Maybe it'll take all these guys coming up to the majors and being really good. But what the Cardinals are doing down below is really exciting, and it is extremely valuable, and it will pay off. But yeah, let's go sign some hack free agent and spend money just to show we're spending money. I'm against that. Other people, for some reason, are obsessed with that. But we'll just see how it all ends up.
I'm going to be curious to watch, because anytime these guys come out, when you're drafting them out of high school, out of college, wherever it might be, we get the scouting reports. We kind of know what the floor is, what the ceiling in all likelihood is going to be. I'm going to be curious if the Cardinals become good enough in what they're doing in the minor league system that they start hitting on the higher side of the scouting reports on all these guys more often, where a guy gets to the big leagues. And if you want to go to MLB Pipeline from 4 years ago and see what the report was on him and what he looked like, are the Cardinals going to be actively making these players not just better, because they're already making them better? Baez is the perfect example of that, but better to a point that it is really having an impact at the major league level?
That's a great question. And I'm confident that they will, but results are what matters. I'll give you an example. They have a precious commodity in this Raniel Rodriguez, and he's 18 years old. And Baseball America and others, they just can't stop gushing about him. I mean, they're just raving about how they believe this kid's going to be great in the major leagues. So and I know, knowing that they have a potential piece of gold there. And I know that Rob Cerfolio, Larry Day, Chaim Bloom, all the beautiful people that they've hired who are good at this, they're going to do everything. Like, there's no limit to what they're going to do to make Raniel Rodriguez pay off and be as good as he can be. And the thing of it is, his upside is phenomenal.
Yeah, we got a message that came in from our guy Deadly, and it says, what are the tools that the Memphis Redbirds working with that are going to turn all these guys into stars? And I know he's being a little bit facetious about this when he says that, but I think I can't sit here and tell you the names of the pieces of equipment and everything, but I can tell you this, because I have worked around the Milwaukee Brewers, and I watch them invest into the pitching lab and into the data, into the technology. No, I can't sit here and tell you that it's this piece of equipment, this, and the other, but I can tell you the industry standards from a logistical standpoint and an infrastructure standpoint, the Cardinals have not had it. They're in the process of adding it. And Bernie, it's going to have a profound impact.
Well, listen, this is an example of someone who doesn't understand. You know why? Because he doesn't want to understand. It's much easier to do the lazy thing. It's just like payroll, like as if you throw money around, you're going to win automatically. It takes a little curiosity and a little bit of intellectual vigor to try to actually find out what they're doing and how it's starting to help already and pay off already. So I don't expect to see intelligent remarks from people that have already made up their mind and they're being cynical and jaded about all of this. I mean, they're not even willing to give this stuff a chance. They're already convinced it's some kind of scam or some kind of failure. Oh, they could have signed a bottom, like a top 100 free agent with that money they've wasted on all this crap down in the minors. That's what we're dealing with here. But let them go. Let them do what they want. The proof is in the pudding. And, eventually we'll find out whether they're stupid or whether some of us who like what they're doing will have a reason to say, see, this is what we thought.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get results in the next couple of years, and then we can go back and we could say who was right and who was wrong in the situation. One other comment I want to get to before we get to a break, because I do think this is kind of interesting. Bill asks us, is this why JJ wasn't called up in September, just to be able to protect these four players? Dude, kind of. I think they talked openly about the fact that they wanted to have as much 40-man flexibility as possible being given to Chaim Bloom. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know the spirit in which that question was being asked, but I also think that it is worse. That is part of it, that being able, and they needed even more flexibility. And that's why Alcala's gone. They got rid of him off the 40-man roster. And there's still some things that are going to happen. And we'll see if anybody ends up being non-tendered before the tender deadline. I think it's likely that they'll have a player or two on that list. Alcala probably would have been on that list. I think you look at a John King, even an Andre Palante as being non-tender candidates, but I think that is a reasonable question and assumption.
Yeah, and I want to thank DS Bill for that question, because we got to get some intelligent stuff on here if we're going to take fan feedback, because the whiners and the criers and the complainers, all they want is attention. This is another extension of like X for them. They're not interested in having an intelligent conversation. So I really greatly appreciate the people that do want to engage in an intelligent fashion. Thank you very much.
That's pretty Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. We're going to continue down this line. Are we surprised by anybody not being protected? One of those players, Blaze Jordan. He's the number one player that people are talking about. Could he possibly be selected by another team? We'll discuss that coming up in just a moment as we roll on. This is Rush Hour Sports on KMOX.
You could think you found your dream home online. The kitchen island looks perfect for your inner chef. The backyard, a paradise for your green thumb. And that extra room, hello walk-in closet. But here's the twist. The lot next door just got rezoned for years of construction. And this sound, yeah, you're going to be hearing a lot of that. Don't let your dream home turn into a nightmare. Work with the expertise and ethical training of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay, where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Missouri, the wait is almost over. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, going live December 1st. But you don't have to wait until then to sign up, because if you join today, you'll get an early sign-up bonus. You can get started with $400 in bonus bets when you make your first $5 bet. From live betting to same-game parlays, FanDuel is the best place to bet on all your favorite teams, sports, and players. FanDuel.com/Missouri to learn more. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri. Play your game with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. 21 or over and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Early sign-up $100 offer. Bonus bets expire 30 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Missouri. Unique user identity verification required. Post-launch $300 offer. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms for both offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
Sponsored by the Moolah Shrine Center Festival of Trees.
Hello, everyone. I want to invite you to the Moolah Festival of Trees. Come see over 40 of the best decorated trees you'll ever see. Adult tickets are only $2 and kids under 12 are free. November 22nd through the 29th at the Moolah Shrine Center.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
We've got a crash on eastbound 70 east of Salisbury. It's jammed to Grand. Westbound 70 from about West Florissant out through Jennings Station. We have a crash there before you get to Lucas Hunt, so it's starting to back up at that point as well. 270 both ways between Manchester and Oliver. Heavy southbound. The backups begin at 364. There's still slow stuff south of Manchester, like Doherty Ferry, Big Bend, 44 to Gravois in a couple of spots. South 170 slow at Olive, jammed. Delmar to the Parkway, still busy to 64. Westbound 64 approaching Boyle all the way through McCausland. Stop and go pockets. It's slow approaching Lindbergh to 270. We have a crash near 94 now. Westbound 64 is slow at Long Road and jammed near the Spirit overpass. It's still heavy west of there, most of the way to Winghaven and 364 to 70. Southbound 55 Arsenal down through Bates. Delays. Westbound 44 Grand or approaching Grand out through Kings Highways heavy. Westbound 64 158 to Greenmount slow. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's Rush Hour Sports right here on KMOX alongside of Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. Thank you for making us a part of your evening, your drive home. And we're continuing to talk through the news of the day. What we learned just a few moments ago is the Cardinals made their decisions on who they were adding to the 40-man roster to protect them from Rule 5 draft consideration. Joshua Baez, Leonardo Bernal, Cooper Jerpy, and Bryson Motts being added to the roster. Then Jorge Alcala was designated for assignment. Alcala still had a lot of upside. Bernie, he threw hard, electric arm, but somebody who you would have had to pretty much guarantee a spot in the major league bullpen. And I feel like, especially with Chaim Bloom, I really trust him in terms of him going out and finding pitching. I wouldn't have been upset if they would have kept him on the roster and kept him around and see what they got out of him. But I'm not trying to talk out both sides of my mouth, but this is one of those things that I would have been fine either way.
Yeah, I don't have much to add because, frankly, I don't know as much about him as you do. So I'd be faking it to try to give some, quote, expert opinion.
He throws hard.
Yeah,
like, you know, that's the name of the game right now. And he has swing and miss in that arm, but we also have seen him. We've seen other teams give up on him as well. I do think the fact that Blaze Jordan wasn't protected is maybe the most interesting part of this whole thing today. He's somebody that they went out and acquired, and now he's very close to being big league ready. That's part of part of the gamble that goes along with allowing guys to be eligible for the Rule 5 draft is if you feel like no other team is going to select them, then you don't add them because they're going to stay in your organization. I feel like there's at least a puncher's chance that a Blaze Jordan does get selected by another team.
Yeah, I'm surprised for two reasons. I'm not shocked, but a little surprised for two reasons. Because first of all, Chaim Bloom drafted him in Boston and third round and in 2020 and thought very highly of him because the kid was a phenom in high school and someone that was winning home run hitting contests everywhere. He's big and strong and he has raw power. And after a slow start in the minors, he started to really come on. I think in 2025, like his AAA team with Boston before the trade that sent Steven Matz to Boston, he was starting to slug. I mean, he was starting to crank out some power. And I think that, I think it was in AA where it was really starting to come. Yeah, he slugged .513 in 2025. Then they moved him out to AAA. Sorry. And so given the fact that the Cardinals don't have a lot of power and given the fact that Bloom thought so highly of the kid that he drafted him in the third round, that surprises me some. But on the other hand, Bloom also knows his weaknesses, and Bloom also probably has a great idea of whether he can really fit onto this roster over the next year or so. And maybe there's no room at the end. And he's probably gambling that no one will take him in the Rule 5 because he's got some flaws. So some teams may avoid him. Maybe the Cardinals will have a chance to bring him back.
Here's another thing that I hope changes with this organization under Chaim Bloom. They held on to way too many of their players who were either like 4A guys or were major leaguers, but weren't going to be big time contributors. So year after year after year, you would look at that 40-man roster and you would see players that, that's a nice player. That's a player that you're fine with. But there were a lot of guys with not much of an impact ceiling. How about, we'll use that term. Their ceiling was not major league impact and they were being held on to. In some ways, I feel like that might be Blaze Jordan. People immediately compared him to Luken Baker when he came into the organization. If that's what his ceiling was going to be, a guy who was going to be a nice but not great big leaguer, then okay, go find a great player. Go find a player who's got the potential to be really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. And along those lines, because I've had more time to kind of process some of the people that were put on the 40-man previously to this. I'm a little surprised in a way, like Cesar Prieto. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good AAA player, but I'm not sure how he fits in the big league club because listen, he's been in the minors for a while. It's not like he's a baby. So I don't know what his upside is. I'm not ruling him out, but I'm just saying I don't know that is a guy going to be an impact guy or do they see him as a bench piece? I don't know.
That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. You are listening to Rush Hour Sports. Back with more after the news right here on KMOX.
What's up, Missouri? Tony Gonzalez here. I've spent a lot of Sundays right here playing in front of the best fans in football. And now it's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. It's America's top-rated sportsbook app. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day, December 1st.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KMOX. New Missouri customers, sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code KMOX. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
At 5:30, it's a clear sky. Right now, 61 degrees downtown at the Arch. A panel of federal judges in El Paso, Texas, blocked the state from using the newly redrawn congressional maps passed by Republicans this summer.
A significant loss for Texas Republicans and President Trump, who asked Texas to redraw the congressional maps in order to flip 5 more seats to the GOP in 2026. U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Brown sided with the plaintiffs in this case, including minority rights groups, that the map is racially discriminatory. LULAC attorney Nina Perales represented the plaintiffs.
When they were talking about their final product in August 2025, they describe it in terms of race. That's unconstitutional.
The state can only appeal this decision to the U.S. Supreme Court. Chris Fox for CBS News, Austin.
Toyota is continuing to invest millions of dollars and will add 57 new jobs to its casting plant in Troy, Missouri. Todd Williams is plant president for Toyota Missouri, tells MissouriNet they'll be adding a new cylinder head production line for hybrid vehicles in Missouri.
We have to invest in cylinder heads because hybrid engines need cylinder heads. Hiring 57 new team members, that's training, that's development, that's to be prepared to be able to go into this new line that we're going to set up.
St. Louis could play a role in one of the biggest Shark Tank wins of all time. The Wall Street Journal reports that Anheuser-Busch is negotiating to buy Beatbox, the maker of boozy fruit punches, for about $700 million. That'd be a massive payday for Mark Cuban, who invested $1 million into the company in the reality show back in 2014. Since then, Beatbox has exploded in popularity at music festivals. The acquisition would give AB another ready-to-drink option and follow moves like Sazerac's purchase of BuzzBalls last year. Fenton-based Panera Bread is launching a multi-million-dollar turnaround plan, according to the Wall Street Journal. It starts with the salad bowl. New CEO Paul Carbone says the chain is ditching iceberg lettuce in favor of romaine. He says, quote, "No one likes iceberg." The menu overhaul also includes larger portions and new beverages to compete with Starbucks. The changes come after U.S. sales dropped 5% last year, prompting the company to put its IPO on hold until it can win customers back. Panera, in its home market, of course, is known as St. Louis Bread Company. Professional baseball is coming to Springfield, Illinois.
The new Women's Pro Baseball League will play its entire inaugural season at Robin Roberts Stadium in Springfield, despite its teams being named for cities on each of the East and West Coasts. The WPBL will begin August of next year. The league will draft players starting Thursday. Springfield once hosted a team called the Sallies in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, made famous by the movie A League of Their Own.
There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk for tonight, some clouds, low 47. For tomorrow, some clouds, high 60. Late night showers tomorrow night, low 50. And some more showers and maybe some storms on Thursday with the high of 65 and more wet on Thursday night into Friday. Right now, clear sky, 61 downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
This is Megan Lynch. 250 doctors go to Ophthalmology Associates. That's why I trust them. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you can find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120. Visit Lance, DRURY law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Thank you, St. Louis, for making Genesis of St. Charles the #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2025. We know your time is valuable. That's why every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis service valet. Unlock your e-price and save. That means complimentary vehicle pickup and delivery, plus a loaner vehicle at no additional cost. Or want something new? We'll bring the test drive to you. Visit genesisofstcharles.com during the Genesis Signature Event. Based on GMA sales records for 2024. See dealer for details.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
May I help you? I just wanted to request a late checkout, please. Of course. That's $30 per hour for up to 4 hours. Huh. Okay, but if you can offer a late checkout, then that probably means no one is staying in that room. So if it's empty, maybe I can just stay a few extra hours. Oh, aren't you adorable?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country, but Congressman Jason Smith is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. So call Congressman Jason Smith at 202-225-4404 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
At Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, every moment with our patients is a gift. This holiday season, you can be the reason children have hope as they fight serious illness and reach milestones once thought impossible. Your gift provides life-saving care to those who need it most. Please donate today at treeofhope.org and be the reason a child has hope for tomorrow.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. If you want immediate cash for your home or to see what your home is actually worth in today's market, find out for free from the local experts. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
The Woodlands of Arnold campus offers skilled rehab, a beautiful assisted living community, and a secure memory care to keep your loved ones safe. Check us out at rspseniorliving.com. That's rspseniorliving.com.
Traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Well, we got traffic backed up in both directions on 70 in the city. If you're headed into downtown eastbound 70, this traffic reports the service of the Woodlands of Arnold Senior Living. It's a crash eastbound 70 at Salisbury. Right lane's blocked. Traffic's backed up at Fallon Park. And westbound, the one at Jennings Station has you backed up at O'Fallon Park. Westbound 70, that's still kind of slow between 270 and the Blanchard. A couple of spots around Highway K. Westbound 64 jams. Boyle headed out through Clayton Skinker, slow to Big Bend. It's slow again from Boone's Crossing through the bridge. K most of the way to Winghaven and 364 to 70. Eastbound 64 backs up east of 94 due to road work at the Boone Bridge right now. 270 both ways between Manchester and Olive is still pretty slow. Southbound 55 busy. Arsenal debates. Westbound 64 from 158 through Greenmount. You have the usual roadwork slowdowns. I'm Roger Brand at the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is Rush Hour Sports. We have you for another 20 minutes, and Sports Open Line begins immediately following. Alongside of Bernie Miklasz, I'm Matt Pauley. Thank you so much for being tuned in. We're going to shift gears. We're going to talk a little hockey. Blues are back at tonight. They're going to play the Maple Leafs, a game that is set to get started in Toronto in about 20 minutes. Bernie, you said something yesterday, and I wanted to go down this path with you, and I'll make a Cardinals comparison. When the Cardinals went into this quote unquote runway season this past year, I took the stance that, you know what, if you go into this year and you end up learning that some of these players just aren't very good and you have to sell low on them, I'm not going to be critical of the team for doing that. You went in, you found out what you needed to find out, and you sold low, and that's part of the process. I will deal with it. Not apples to apples, but kind of a same comparison. I'm at a point right now with the Blues where if they make the decision that, look, this team is not going to win at the highest level when Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas are your highest paid, top of the roster players, I'm okay with selling low, doing what you need to do. Those guys are on, they have no trade, so that restricts things a little bit. Just get to however you're going to acquire your next top level players, go do that, but it doesn't have to be in a trade for those guys. Like if they're really, if they want to cut the cord. I don't care what they get back for them. Have you come to that point yet?
Well, I don't know. I still think if they're going to, I think Thomas and Kyrou would be coveted. So I think I would expect they need to get, relatively speaking, a lot for those guys. I mean, they can't sell them low. The first guy to go though should be Pavel Buchnevich. He's a waste of money. He got a big contract. I remember some fans, to their credit at the time, saying, "I don't know about this." He's been kind of problematic. He ought to be the first guy on the market, and then in that case, just getting his salaries and the long-term commitment off the book, I think would be smart. I don't really care whether he's here or not. But what's the point of carrying a guy who is a passenger? He's not willing to help drive the car.
I don't know if he's tradable with that contract. I don't know how much.
I don't know.
That's. You can, if they will accept a trade, to your point, Kyrou and Thomas are tradable assets.
Sure.
I don't know how much you're going to get for those guys. And again, it wasn't so much about not getting great talent. Let me rephrase this. It wasn't so much about if you traded Jordan Kyrou and he's supposed to be the best player on your team. Right now, you're not going to trade him for somebody who's going to come back in and probably be the best player on the team. That's basically what I'm saying, and I'm okay with that. That doesn't mean that you're just getting, you're just offloading these guys for absolutely nothing. But at some point in time, if these are not going to be the guys that lead you to the highest level, you have to find a way to cut bait.
Yeah, and listen, I'm a guy that's praised Doug Armstrong a lot, and I'm not going to be a phony and pretend that I haven't. I mean, I'm grateful, like a lot of Blues fans are grateful that, under his direction, they won a Stanley Cup. And I thought his retool went really, really well. I thought they'd be good this year, but his retool is kind of blown up.
Mm-hmm.
And he made when he traded Zachary Balduc to Montreal for the young defenseman, Logan Milou, I know a lot of people are upset. My whole thing was like, well, I'm going to keep an open mind on it. But so far it's been a disaster, and it's early, but it's been a disaster. And so I'm frankly not sure about Doug Armstrong's leadership anymore. There's been a lot of bad contracts handed out. And I did a video on this. The one thing about the Cardinals, when the Cardinals have to do their own retool, call it a rebuild. They've been dormant for the last 3 years. But when they decided, you know what, we just need to take a fresh approach. We need to start fresh. We need new voices, new minds in here. We can't continue with the same people. At least Bill DeWitt brought in Hein Bloom. My question is, if they're going to blow up this roster, do you really want to give the dynamite to Doug Armstrong? Or do you want him turning a rebuild over to Alexander Steen, who hasn't had the responsibility at this level, not even close? Wouldn't Steen be a continuation of Armstrong? I give at least DeWitt credit for saying, you know what, we need a change. We've kind of run out of gas with this regime. I don't know that Tom Stillman would make a decision where he would go on the outside and hire someone that he thinks will be better.
Something that maybe it has been addressed and I missed it. And if it has, somebody can tell me and I will recognize and acknowledge that. I don't feel like the Blues have really explained what the dynamic is going to look like between Armstrong and Steen. Because Armstrong, I believe, is still going to have the president of hockey operations title. Steen's going to be the GM. Again, it's not an apples to apples when we compare it to baseball, but John Mozeliak was the president of baseball operations, and then the general manager did not have final roster decision say. Does Alexander Steen, when he comes in as the GM, is he going to have final roster decisions? Is it still going to be Armstrong? Are we making a big deal about a guy who's just kind of getting a added title to his name? Like, I don't understand. I don't know what it's going to look like.
But see, none of us know. I mean, there's been some talk in media circles that, maybe Doug Armstrong's going to stick around a little longer. And so I'm like, see, that's my point. It's like, not to drag out the analogy, but if this would be like, not an exact match, but this would be like when the Blues need to sort of blow it up and start again. This would be the equivalent of Bill DeWitt elevating Michael Gersh to be the head of the baseball operation, a guy that's been there with Mo for years and years. I'm why should I trust? It's no disrespect intended. Why should I trust Alex Steen that he's going to take over and immediately, have all the answers? I don't know. The Blues could use some outside voices and some fresh hockey minds, and because they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. They have won, all the fans rip the Cardinals. I get it. The Blues get a free pass in our town to an extent. The Blues won the Stanley Cup in 2019. Great. The Cardinals' last playoff series win was in 2019. Since then, the Blues have won one playoff round since then. The Cardinals haven't won any. But my point is, the Blues have stagnated under their leadership, and I'm not sure why that's okay to continue down that path.
What's the lesson to be learned on why the Blues get the free pass? Is it simply that Doug Armstrong is a really likable guy who speaks in a way that people kind of relate to?
Well, yeah, but I came across something that I put in my video. I use SpotRack as my go-to salary tracker, payroll tracker. It's the perception among the fans. It's like, well, Tom Stillman's trying everything to do to win. He's doing everything he can to win. And I'm not questioning his desire to win. And Tom Stillman's an honorable guy, and he's been great for the Blues. But I did some research rather than taking it as gospel that the Blues always spend to the cap. No, they don't. In fact, over the last four seasons or so, I don't have it in front of me, but it's in the thing I did. They've been down 17th, 19th, 26th in the payroll rankings. So but they're perceived as having ownership that's utterly committed to winning, do whatever it takes. It's just not supported by the facts. It used to be. And they also keep the same people in place to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. So, yeah, that's why there's a double standard. And I think the double standard ought to be called out. Bill DeWitt screwed up, okay? He let this thing go stagnant, and he stayed with John Mozeliak too long. He screwed up. This thing could have stayed at a higher level. But when he finally got around to saying, we need to go on a new track, he brought in new people to do it instead of staying with the same people that got him in this jam in the first place. That's all I'm saying.
I get frustrated that the DeWitts don't get credit for the expenditures that they have put in everything they've done over the last couple of years. First, the instructors they brought in, the data and technology, the spring training complex, like all that.
Facilities, everything.
Yeah, I think they get. I think they get dinged a little bit in terms of what they deserve, the accolades they deserve for what they're investing right there.
Well, it's because a lot of fans don't care about, when they hear rebuild, they have an allergic reaction. I kind of get that. But they don't want to really understand what's going on down there. We've had a couple trolls on tonight's show leaving comments. They don't want to understand it, so they don't try. And it's easy to be lazy and just dismiss everything as like some type of propaganda scam or whatever their point is. But if you go read independent people, talking about what they've done in their farm system, in their player development system, and all the smart people they've brought into this operation, I like their future. But it also has to materialize. I can't assume that it'll materialize, but I like, compared to where they've been, are you kidding me? The direction they're on now is incredibly better. I mean, they already got the #1 farm system in baseball, according to Fangraphs.
That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. One more break. We'll take a look at traffic, and then we'll come back and wrap up this edition of Rush Hour Sports here on KMOX.
For 100 years, KMOX has been part of St. Louis. Now, Together Credit Union is helping celebrate that legacy. Starting in November, visit any Together Credit Union branch to pick up a KMOX 100th anniversary commemorative ornament for just $5 while supplies last. Each ornament supports Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis. Together Credit Union, honoring 100 years of KMOX, the voice of St. Louis, and Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis, improving the health of all children.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, if you're heading home on Highway 70, they cleared that crash at Jennings Station, but we still have backed up traffic right around West Florissant and out through the city limits headed that way. They're still working that crash, trying to clear it. Eastbound 70 just east of Salisbury, it's backed up at O'Fallon Park. The right lane's blocked by that wreck, by the way. Westbound 64, Boyle headed out through Clayton Skinker's jammed. It's slow to about Big Bend. It's backed up both ways at the Boone Bridge. The eastbound backup actually goes back to almost 94. Westbound is just approaching the bridge. Westbound still slow. Came most of the way to Winghaven, 364 out to 70. 270 both ways between Ladue and Manchester still heavy, but southbound begins around Olive and it goes to Doherty Ferry past 44 midway down to Gravois. South 170, Delmar slow, jammed at Brentwood down to 64. North 170 up past 64, past the Parkway, and Ladue's a little busy. Southbound 55 a little off the pace. Gasconade Bates 64 westbound 158 to Greenmount Road. That's still heavy. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original, present 100 years of KMOX.
We are covering what's going on in Ferguson right now.
We are hearing a word that we haven't heard here for years. That word is riot.
On the scene, trying to get into this area, KMOX's Michael Calhoun.
They just broke the window of the AutoZone across the street. People are walking out with batteries in their hands.
There is a building, a beauty salon building, and the back of that building is on fire.
I'm Carol Daniel. Our continuing coverage of the unrest in Ferguson continues.
There's sparks rising from West Florissant. There goes another tear gas canister. Everybody is yelling and running.
There for every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. Brought to you by Together Credit Union. Achieve more with competitive rates on savings and lending. Visit togethercu.org.
At Odyssey, we believe in creating a diverse and inclusive workforce. We also value the power of community and encourage local organizations to help us in referring qualified applicants to our stations. If you're a community organization interested in receiving our vacancy information, simply email equalemployment@odyssey.com. You'll be notified of all our open positions. That's equalemployment@odyssey.com. And for all our listeners, please visit odysseyinc.com/careers for a list of job openings at all Odyssey radio stations.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Just a couple minutes left in the program. It is Rush Hour Sports. That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. Sports Open Line comes up. I hope you'll stick with us for that 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock this evening for Sports Open Line. I just wanted to touch on this real quickly. Eli Drinkwitz met with the media today, Bernie, and I mean, he didn't say anything groundbreaking. He said all the normal stuff about loving Mizzou and the some of the message board stuff isn't real, and he didn't tell his team that he was leaving. It's all the same stuff every single day, and until actual decisions are made, there's nothing to really glean from what's being said.
Yeah, until a coach, this applies to Lane Kiffin too at Ole Miss, until a coach, whoever that coach is, who's rumored to be looking around, until they say, nope, I'm staying, I informed our administration today. Until they say that, it's a lot of words. The one thing about Drink, and I'll be quick, that I appreciated what he had to say today. He did a good, thorough job of explaining why he made the comment about, we got to get some Fortune 500 companies in the state behind us more. We need their financial support. And he explained why. He gave a thorough breakdown of like where they are in NIL and how much, in effect, they're spending per player compared to some of the top dogs in the SEC. And he's just saying it costs more money now to get the best players, and we've got to step it up. I don't have a problem with him saying that. I mean, it seems to me an honest assessment. Now, a cynic would say, well, he's just trying to make an excuse ahead of time for leaving. I'm not quite that jaded. I mean, that might happen, but I want to see how it plays out. I appreciated the fact that he elaborated on that comment, and he did so in great detail.
And we've only got about a minute left, so maybe we'll touch this later. But do you think there is a civic responsibility for large companies to be supportive of major athletic programs in the states where they do business?
Well, it's a tough question. I think in this case, if you got Mizzou grads in a position of power at some companies where they can get more involved, I think they should. Because if you're going to this is the whole thing with Mizzou in the SEC. I used to criticize Mizzou for collecting SEC money, but they weren't doing anything to make their program better. And a lot of that has to be the boosters behind the program. So, if boosters in other states where SEC football is more important, if companies and boosters are going to really step it up there, Well, that's the terms of engagement. I mean, whether local businesses, Fortune 500, whether they want to step up or not, well, if they don't, they don't have to. But your program's not going to get to a higher level financially in terms of what you can do.
That's Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. Thanks so much for being tuned in. Kevin Wheeler is back coming up tomorrow. Bernie, I hope to visit with you on Sports Open Line tomorrow, and then we'll all be back together on Friday. We've got Thursday stuff to do, but Sports Open Line on the way next here on KMOX.
Hi, Debbie Monterey with Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria, you've been helping families.
On the sidelines. Fact is, between now and year end is a great time to discuss the sale of your home. I have guaranteed sale program solutions for every situation, including instant multiple cash offers, 100% market value, or my trusted guarantee sale program, where I'll sell your home at our agreed upon price, or I will buy it myself.
Sounds like a plan. The time is now. Call Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com, GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/life.
Looking for some iced caffeine, left you in the cold. No one knows why brown water costs as much as liquid gold. Told them your name was Brian, why does this cup say Nicole? But then you found paradise in your cup at the Quick Trip. No regrets to start your day.
Red Kingdom is back at FanDuel Sports Network Live in Ballpark Village. See every game on the largest screen in town. Don't forget about the $25 buckets, $5 cocktails, and the best tailgate food around. Grab your friends along with KMOX and huddle up for the games at the best watch party in town. If you can't make it, but don't want to miss a down, listen to the Chiefs on KMOX or KMOX on the Odyssey app. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, sounds like we have an injury crash at Dale and McLaughlin. They're sending an emergency crews there right near the city limits, mid-county. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, there's still a jam from almost Adelaide in through Salisbury. We had that crash in the right lane. We had an earlier crash at Jennings Station westbound 70. They cleared it, but traffic is still slow at Kings Highway to that point. But after that, you're wide open to Wentzville. Westbound 64, still bunched up in spots from right as you approach the Kings Highway area all the way out through to about Big Bend. And then there's a little slow traffic from Lake St. Louis Boulevard on out to Highway 70, eastbound 64, a roadwork back up east of 94 to the Boone Bridge. 270 is just a little busy at Ladue. Southbound still slow from 44 midway down to Gravois. Southbound 55 just a little off the pace at Bates, and westbound 64 is slow from 158, but it opens up before you get to Greenmount Road in that construction zone. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
House and Senate vote to release the Epstein files.
The yeas are 427. The nays are 1.
Saudi Arabia pledges major investment in U.S.
The $600 billion will be $1 trillion.
Immigration raids continue in Charlotte.
Still unsure as to how long they will be here.
This is the CBS World News Roundup, late edition. I'm Christopher Cruz. A near unanimous vote in the House today to require the Justice Department to release the Jeffrey Epstein files.
The bill is passed.
The bill moved quickly to the Senate.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says the American people and Epstein survivors have waited long enough.
This is about giving the American people the transparency they've been crying for.
The unanimous consent procedure means the Senate has now passed the Epstein bill without amendments as soon as it arrives from the House. The House voted earlier to pass it 427 votes to 1. Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
The bill now goes to the president, who has said he will sign it, but not when. After the House vote, survivors of Epstein's abuse celebrated.
We're ready for the next step, and we're ready to finally release the files.
All the files. All the files.
President Trump today welcomed Saudi Arabia's crown prince to the White House. Mohammed bin Salman told Trump Saudi Arabia would sharply increase its investment in the U.S.
I believe, Mr. President, today and tomorrow we're going to announce that we are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas.
U.S. intelligence agencies say bin Salman likely ordered the murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who also wrote for the Washington Post. When a reporter asked bin Salman about that, Trump lashed out.
Things happen, but he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
The NTSB says the cause of last year's collapse of the Key Bridge in Baltimore was a loose wire that caused a container ship to lose its power and its steering. Chair Jennifer Homendy.
It just didn't fit. So it became disconnected. It backed out.
6 construction workers died in the collapse. Immigration agents continue their operation in Charlotte over the protests of local officials. CBS's Skylar Henry is there.
Hundreds of students walked out of several schools here in the district, one at East Mecklenburg High School, in protest of the federal agents here in the city. And we have continued to see dramatic video of the tactics that these federal agents have been using to try to detain some of these individuals.
It was yet another day deep in the red on Wall Street. The Dow closed down more than 1%. Now this.
The annual Progressive Keys to Progress program provides vehicles to deserving veterans, helping our heroes drive their lives forward. Learn more at keystoprogress.com.
At 6:03, it's a partly cloudy sky. Right now, 60 degrees downtown at the Arch. St. Louis Sheriff Alfred Montgomery's trial to remove him from office was supposed to begin this morning, but a key individual's lack of attendance prevented it from happening.
Sheriff Alfred Montgomery himself was unable to attend after the federal judge overseeing his criminal case made no decision on whether to release him from detention for the trial. I asked the sheriff's attorney, David Mason, when they knew they were not going to get an answer and Montgomery would not be attending.
This morning, because we had been waiting to hear something. I think we reported that to a couple of you. We thought the machinery was working. I mean, we really would not have been surprised if he was there waiting for us.
Following a lengthy meeting between Mason, Montgomery's other attorneys, and the federal judge, he did eventually grant the release of Sheriff Alfred Montgomery from federal detention so he could attend his quo warranto trial. It's set to begin Wednesday morning. In downtown St. Louis, Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The city appears to still be grappling with spending ARPA relief pandemic dollars. They have to be spent by December 26.
The Aldermanic Housing, Urban Development, and Zoning Committee spent over 5 hours listening to different agencies, including SLDC and the Community Development Agency. Executive Director Noel Pfeffer says CDA did not administer the Northside Business Grant Program.
To date, aside from the about 400 grants which have been paid out, CDA has not received any of those proposed grant agreements.
Pfeffer says once he receives those, he will be able to make a comment on them. The Northside Business Grant Program had to have the money obligated by December of 2024, but the process of actually spending the money, that's continuing. Pfeffer is leaving CDA, his successor not yet named. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
That deadline, December 2026. St. Louis County is moving forward with plans to relocate its government headquarters from downtown Clayton to St. Anne. County Executive Sam Page's office tells the Post-Dispatch negotiations are underway to move about 600 employees to the crossings at Northwest, the site of the former Northwest Plaza Mall. The move is driven by a 2028 deadline to install fire sprinklers in the current Roos building or vacate the premises. Officials say the relocation process could take about 2 years to complete. Toyota has poured more than $620 million into its casting plant in Troy, and now the company is growing again. Plant president Todd Williams says Toyota is adding 57 jobs and partnering with local schools to help fill the positions.
We do have some partnerships with Rankin and some other community colleges and things like that in the area that we're really trying to ramp up to kind of develop a build your own mentality and aspect to that. Creating those community partners is very, very important to us.
Williams says the new line will start production in 2027. No matter the car you're in, Roger Brand's got the latest on traffic. What do we need to know, Roger?
Well, still got a little trouble downtown to wrap it up, Michael. As traffic reports the service of McKelvey Homes. It's eastbound 70 just east of Salisbury. Right lane still blocked for a crash. It's jammed between Adelaide and Grand. Eastbound, westbound 70, Riverview out through Jennings Station is still heavy. That's from an earlier crash. Once you get past that point, though, you're wide open to Wentzville. Westbound 64, Kings Highway out through Clayton's Kinkers jammed. It's slow to about Big Bend. There's slow traffic both ways around the Boone Bridge. The eastbound delays begin east of 94, roadwork, of course, and westbound is still busy. Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to Highway 70, westbound 44. The ramp lane's still kind of slow at Geyer, and westbound 64 on the Illinois side still heavy, 158 most of the way into Greenmount Road in that construction zone. I'm Roger Brand in the Michael's Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
Thunderstorms will be rumbling across southeast Missouri and southern Illinois this evening and overnight. I don't think they reach into the St. Louis area. Partly to mostly cloudy skies, though, and 47 for the low. Evening temperatures will be in the 60s after hitting about 70 today. Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy, 60 degrees. Wednesday night, lots of clouds, some showers moving in way after midnight, 50 for the overnight low. Thursday, periods of rain, some rumbles of thunder, 65 degrees. Thursday night is wet, periods of rain, 53. Friday is wet, periods of rain with a high of 59. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is a cloudy sky right now, 60 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Here we go on a Tuesday. Welcome in. It's the Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Have you for the next 2 hours. We've got a pretty busy program tonight in about a half hour or so. It is our weekly Tuesday conversation with our good friend Amy Marks, of course, Hockey Amy, as we call her, when she comes in for these conversations. Of course, part of the Chris and Amy show, but also hosting on Matrix Midwest with Chris Kerber, talking Blues hockey every week. So we'll talk with her coming up at 6:35. Next hour, Pete Fiutak. He is the publisher of collegefootballnews.com. He's going to join us. We'll get his thoughts on what's going on with Mizzou and Illinois. Also get his thoughts on the coaching carousel, which every day there's new bits of information. Yesterday, we told you that the reporting was that Lane Kiffin was given an ultimatum by Ole Miss on when they want him to say whether or not he's going to stick around or not. Now, he said today that he has not been given an ultimatum. There were also reports that Kiffin had family members in both Gainesville and Baton Rouge, as Florida and LSU both appear to be very interested in Kiffin, and that very much connects back to what's going on with Eli Drinkwitz, because I feel like Florida more so than LSU, but it feels like Drinkwitz would be a candidate for those jobs. He's also been connected to Penn State, which to me just doesn't feel like a fit. If I was a Penn State fan and they hired Eli Drinkwitz, I would think, is this the guy who has the highest ceiling for this program? Whereas I'm a Florida fan and they hire Eli Drinkwitz, I think it's a different scenario. You got to be a good fit for where you're at. But we'll talk with Pete Fiutak about that coming up at 7:05. And then one of the really good sports stories in St. Louis right now is with the NCAA men's soccer tournament coming up. The St. Louis area has 2 Division I entries. There's also some Wash U. There's some non-Division ones, but from a Division I standpoint, we've talked a lot about St. Louis University and their run at the tournament once again, but also Lindenwood men's soccer. They are into the NCAA men's soccer tournament as well. They're going to open up their run on the other side of Missouri coming up on Thursday when they're going to match up against Kansas City and their head coach, Chris Birch. He is going to join us at about 7:35, and we'll learn a little bit about Lindenwood men's soccer this evening. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with the Blues. They are in action right now, matched up against Toronto. And if anything happens in that game, we'll certainly let you know about that as they are opening up a 5-game road trip. But we begin with the news of the day from the Cardinals. Today was the deadline for teams to add players to the 40-man roster to protect them from being selected in the Rule 5 draft. And I'd love to be able to, at some point in time, to kind of talk to Chaim Bloom or any baseball decision maker for that matter, but Chaim is the one who's closest to us here in St. Louis, about what it's like going through the process of making the decisions on who you protect from the Rule 5 draft. Because it's not just about keeping players who you feel like have an opportunity to help you and help your organization at the major league level moving forward. It is also about the gamble of, yeah, we like this guy. We love this guy, but maybe he's a little bit of a slow developer. We still think he has a bright future in Major League Baseball, but we don't think that he is at a point where another team would take him in the Rule 5 draft and have him be on the team for, be committed to being on the Major League roster for the entire season. And that's part of the game. Part of the game is trying to keep your roster and your organization as healthy as possible and not let players walk out the door that you don't want to have walk out the door, but also just the gamble of, okay, this guy is not somebody who we think is ready for the big leagues, and we think the rest of the organizations across baseball are going to share in that assessment, and therefore they're not going to be protected. So Joshua Baez, who had a breakout season this past year, and he was considered a fairly high-level prospect early on in his minor league tenure, and then it just didn't happen for him. And he looked like somebody that it just wasn't going to happen, right? And then this year, he was really, really good. He was really, really good. So that's one of them. I think that's maybe the most interesting individual, just in the sense that a year ago, I don't think anybody would have said that Baez for sure was somebody who was going to be someone you're looking to add to the 40-man roster to protect from the Rule 5. Catcher Leonardo Bernal, huge upside. Teams will do anything to get catchers, so I understand that. And then a couple pitchers in Cooper Jerpy and Bryson Matz. And Jerpy is somebody who's had a hard time staying healthy. He was a first-round selection in the 2022 draft out of Oregon State, missed the entire 2025 season recovering from Tommy John surgery, and that's going to be him staying healthy and him finding a way to health is the most important part for him. And then because when he's out there, it generally looks pretty good. And again, he's a first round selection. So the last thing you would want is all of a sudden for him to get healthy and for somebody else to take a flyer on him and him be part of another team's major league pitching staff. And that's the last thing you want. As far as Mounts goes, he's somebody who was a second round pick back in 2022. And this past year put together a really, really solid season, and somebody who you could see in the big leagues here sooner than later. They only had 3 40-man roster spots available, so they did have to clear a roster spot, and they did that by moving on from Jorge Alcala. He pitched in 15 games for the Cardinals this past year after he was a waiver claim from Boston back in early August. So that's where they're at right now. There's still some moving parts when it comes to the offseason roster. We still have the tender deadline that's going to be coming up very soon, and that's where you're required to say whether or not you're going to tender a player a major league contract or not. There's a distinct possibility that another player or two could end up coming off the roster at that point. I'm not convinced that the Cardinals are going to tender contracts to every single player who is arbitration eligible, so we'll wait for that. Bluntly, I would be surprised if they tender a contract to John King. I think John King is, I like John King. I think he did a nice job with the Cardinals, but I think his skill set is a skill set that you can find easily and having him hold a 40-man roster spot when you might want to do some creative things this offseason might not be best for the health of the organization. So I could very easily see them non-tendering him. And I've talked about it before. I'm not convinced of it. I go back and forth all the time. I could certainly see a scenario where an Andre Palante gets non-tendered as well, where if this regime, and we don't, the whole thing is, what does this regime really think about him and what do they think about his ceiling? But if it's a scenario where they think that who Andre Palante was this past year is essentially who he is, and there's not a whole lot getting better available for him, and I don't know if that's the case or not. Like, I think we've seen 2 seasons ago, Palante was the best pitcher in the Cardinals rotation for the second half of the season. He never replicated that outside of a moment here and a moment there this past season. I don't know if he can go back and get that or not. And that's the question for the organization. And if they don't feel like that him performing at that type of level on a year in, year out basis is something that is a legitimate thing, then I would wonder whether or not they for sure bring him back. But at the same time, they need starting pitching. The old adage is you can never have too much starting pitching. So if you do that, you could run into, and then you all of a sudden you run out of starting pitching. You might be kicking yourself just a little bit. So that's the news of the day. Blaze Jordan not being protected is interesting because they went out and acquired him at the trade deadline this past season, and somebody who's got connections to Bloom, but they made the decision not to protect him from other teams. He's a AAA guy. He's probably somebody who would not embarrass himself at the big league level. The question probably is, what is his ceiling? Generally if a team selects somebody in the Rule 5 draft, part of the thought process is this is somebody who can blossom into something really special. We are willing to sit with him on the major league roster for a full year because what we think he is eventually going to turn into. The Cardinals selected Ryan Fernandez, and I'm well aware of the fact that Fernandez did not have a good year this past year. But when he was selected in the Rule 5 draft, I think there was a belief that this is somebody who could be a big-time impact pitcher out of the Cardinals bullpen, and whether you had to kind of hide him for a year, and he was pretty good in his Rule 5 year with the Cardinals. He was pretty good. It was this past season where the struggles occurred. So where I'm going with this is if other teams look at a Blaze Jordan and they say, well, the ceiling for he's a perfectly fine big leaguer, but there's not a whole lot more that hasn't been untapped yet, that you kind of know what you're going to get. And if that's what he is, then he's probably less likely to be selected in the Rule 5 draft because teams don't want to be handcuffed by a guy who's just a fine major league player. They don't want to be handcuffed with him on the roster, and you can't move him down. And if you try to move him off the roster, you're doing the whole thing where you're offering him back to his former, like all that. So that's part of the gambling that goes along with the Rule 5 draft is generally players who get selected are players that have the high upside because a team is looking more long term. They're saying that it's worth holding this player for an entire year on the 26-man roster, even if we have to almost hide him on the roster because of what they're going to be able to give eventually. And if you just don't think that there's that much more left in there, and that, to me, that's maybe been the book on a Blaze Jordan, that where he's at right now, it's not going to go a whole lot more past that. Again, he always gets connected to Luke and Baker, fair or unfair. He always gets connected to Luke and Baker. That was part of the consideration with him. Like Baker, it felt like had gone as far as he was going to go, and there just wasn't a whole lot left in the tank for him to improve that much more. All right, we'll continue down this path of conversation. If you want to chime in, you can do so by calling or texting 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, Pauley on air. Also, leave video comments. We can get to some of those. That's coming up in our next segment. We'll continue to talk through the moves made by the Cardinals today. Up next, it's Grey Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Missouri, the wait is almost over. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, going live December 1st. But you don't have to wait until then to sign up, because if you join today, you'll get an early sign-up bonus. You can get started with $400 in bonus bets when you make your first $5 bet. From live betting to same-game parlays, FanDuel is the best place to bet on all your favorite teams, sports, and players. FanDuel.com/Missouri to learn more. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri. Play your game with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. 21 or over and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Early sign-up $100 offer. Bonus bets expire 30 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Missouri. Unique user identity verification required. Post-launch $300 offer. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms for both offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM. Visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Are you tired of online threats? Then get an antivirus. It's the only online protection you will ever need.
Disclaimer: an antivirus is just half protection online. It will not protect you from snoopers or encrypt your online traffic. So this Black Friday, get better online protection with NordVPN. NordVPN will encrypt your traffic, protect you from malware and phishing, and stop annoying ads. Get the NordVPN Black Friday deal with 73% off and enjoy 3 extra months.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
Purina presents A Century of Service.
This is KMOX Radio.
KMOX is celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining St. Louis. On November 20th, KMOX Day, we will celebrate the KMOX pioneers.
This is Jim White for your information.
Legendary voices.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Groundbreaking programming.
KMOX Radio. We're at your service.
And unforgettable moments that have defined a century of broadcasting.
We did locate Ben this afternoon, and we've also located Sean Hornbeck.
Hear from current and former KMOX personalities who have helped make this station the preeminent news, information, and sports brand in America.
Oh, yeah! Just send us in the game number 10.
A century of service, celebrating 100 years of KMOX, is presented by Purina, your pet, our passion, on the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Right now, someone in a Hardee's kitchen is about to warm up your winter with the new grilled cheese bacon burger. Charbroiled 100% Angus beef, bacon, and Swiss and American cheese melting on our soft, buttery sourdough. And our new grilled cheese breakfast sandwich with sausage or bacon and a fried egg. Cozy up to the goodness of the new grilled cheese bacon burger and breakfast sandwich. For a limited time, only at Hardee's. Cinnamon Raisin Biscuits are back. Unwrap them while you can. Only for a limited time at participating restaurants.
Welcome back to the Grey Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
We are back at it, taking you until 8 o'clock this evening. In about 10 minutes, we're going to be joined by Amy Marks, of course, for our weekly Tuesday conversation. Hockey Amy, talking all things Blues hockey with her. Next hour, Pete Fiutak from collegefootballnews.com is going to join us. And also next hour, Chris Birch, the head soccer coach for the Lindenwood men's team as they are headed to the NCAA tournament. He will join us. So a lot to get to here on the program. If you want to chime in, you can do so. You can call or text right now, 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. We have a little bit of time for you here in this segment. Calling, texting, and 314-436-7900. Tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air, or you can leave a video comment. I'm just wondering if there's much of a reaction to the news of the day of the 4 players being protected from the Rule 5 draft, being placed onto the 40-man roster in Joshua Baez, Leonardo Bernal, Cooper Jerpy, and Bryson Moutz. And then also Jorge Alcala. He was designated for assignment that cleared a 40-man roster spot, which they needed to do. Some of the other players who were not protected, who I guess at least have a chance to be selected in the Rule 5 draft. Right-hander Max Radjic, if this was a year ago, maybe it'd be a little bit of a different conversation. He was the minor league pitcher of the year in 2023. Was okay this past year. Also, left-hander Pete Hansen. This past year, he led the Texas League in quality starts with 11, and a former third-round pick. He had a 3.65 ERA in 74 games, but just one AAA outing so far over his career. So that's where they're at right now. I don't think there's anything groundbreaking here. Maybe I'm making too big of a deal about it, talking as much about it as I am. We mentioned this earlier on Rush Hour Sports, and I thought it was a good point made by one of our commenters who said, well, was this the reason that the team did not call up JJ Weatherholt at the end of the season last year? And we discussed this a lot. As the season was going on, there were a lot of people saying, you know what, this team isn't going to be a postseason club. Isn't there value in just going ahead and getting some of these young guys up to the big leagues and getting them some big league experience? And the pushback from the Cardinals on that was, you add somebody to the 40-man roster and you decrease 40-man flexibility for the offseason. Like JJ Weatherholt is likely, I'll say it, I think he's going to be the opening day second baseman for the Cardinals. That's my opinion. So I'll say he is likely to be on the major league roster to start the year. If he's on the major league roster, obviously he's on the 40-man roster. That means they're going to have to make some 40-man moves. It's easier to make those 40-man moves when we get to spring training and when we get to opening day. All of a sudden, the 60-day injury list is available again. So if you've got any guys who are banged up, you've got the opportunity to clear a 40-man roster spot that way. If there's players who you're just ready to move on from after seeing their spring training performance, even trades during the and not so much, because it feels like the Cardinals will be bringing in players more than sending out. But you know what? At the same time, I'm talking about minor leaguers. There are going to be reductions from the 40-man roster with the trades off the major league roster. That's going to create a little bit of space. I would question how many 40-man players would be coming back in those trades. I think that's going to be one of the more intriguing questions. Are they going to be going after guys who are AA, AAA guys who are just about big league ready? Or is it going to be more about finding younger players and they're trying to more stack the bottom portion of the minor league system? And if the trade deadline was any indication of what they're doing, it might be the latter, because at the trade deadline, a lot of those players that they brought in were single A guys, and that's I don't know if that's what they were looking for, or if that was if they were saying just looking for the highest level of talent in return, because a AAA guy who has a certain ceiling and a certain overall talent level is going to be worth more than a single A guy who has that same ceiling and same overall talent level, just in the sense that guy is closer, that guy's more developed, that guy has is more likely to make an impact in the major leagues sooner than later. So look, this is going to be a really intriguing offseason. It really is. And this is just one of those pieces to it. I would assume that we're going to see a fair amount of churn on the 40-man roster as the season goes along. And we know that Sonny Gray is likely to be traded. We know that Nolan Arenado is likely to be traded We know that players like Lars Nootbaar and Nolan Gorman and Brendan Donovan are out there on the trade block. Like all these things are going to happen. And you're going to bring some players back, and some of them might be on the 40-man. Some of them might not be on the 40-man, but this is going to be 40-man flexibility is a really important thing for this organization right now. And the flexibility for the moment's gone because the 40-man is back being filled, but it's not going to stay filled. That's where I was trying to get to when I started this whole thing just a moment or so ago. And if they would have called up a J.J. Weatherholt, adding him to the 40-man roster, well, then that puts it in a situation where you've got him on the 40-man roster. You have one less. You have one less spot to be able to be flexible with. So that's I don't know if there's going to be fruit that is born out of that, but that was the fruit to bear from not making the moves last year to bring players up who are not on the 40-man roster, who you wanted to stick in the organization. That was that was the idea behind it. Just again, giving as much flexibility, and flexibility is one of the key things. I think everything the Cardinals did last year from a roster standpoint came from a position of having as much of a blank canvas as possible for Chaim Bloom coming in. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk with Amy Marks, of course. We'll talk Blues hockey with her. Blues they scored the first goal against Toronto. Toronto has since answered. It's a 1-1 game as they are wrapping things up about just under 6 minutes to go in the first period. We'll keep you updated on that, and we'll talk hockey with Amy Marks, of course. She joins us next. This is a Grey Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Thank you, St. Louis, for making Genesis of St. Charles the #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2025. We know your time is valuable. That's why every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis service valet. Unlock your e-price and save. That means complimentary vehicle pickup and delivery, plus a loaner vehicle at no additional cost. Or want something new? We'll bring the test drive to you. Visit genesisofstcharles.com during the Genesis Signature event. Based on GMA sales records for 2024. See dealer for details.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country, but Congressman Jason Smith is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. So call Congressman Jason Smith at 202-225-4404 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
This month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month, Dr. Rohina Pani.
One thing that's important to remember is if you're concerned and you identify some family history, which typically means first-degree relatives and other risk factors for this disease, talk to your doctor about your family history, and they can then refer you to centers that specialize in those screening programs like Siteman Cancer Center.
Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
For 100 years, KMOX has been part of St. Louis. Now, Together Credit Union is helping celebrate that legacy. Starting in November, visit any Together Credit Union branch to pick up a KMOX 100th anniversary commemorative ornament for just $5 while supplies last. Each ornament supports Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis. Together Credit Union, honoring 100 years of KMOX, the voice of St. Louis, and Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis, improving the health of all children.
What's up, Missouri? Tony Gonzalez here. I've spent a lot of Sundays right here playing in front of the best fans in football. And now it's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. It's America's top-rated sportsbook app. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day, December 1st.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KMOX. New Missouri customers, sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code KMOX. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Back at it is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Glad to have you with us today. It is that time, one of our favorite times of the week. She is Hockey Amy, at least when she's talking to us. She's Hockey Amy, part of the Chris and Amy show. She also hosts with Chris Kerber on Matrix Midwest on a weekly Blues show. She is Amy Markscourse joining us right now. Hi, Amy.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to be able to talk to you. We're talking as the Blues are playing 1-1 right now with them and Toronto. About 3.5 minutes to go in the first period. So I feel like the narrative hasn't changed that much over the last few weeks of where this team is at. But every day that goes by and it remains the same, I guess it becomes that much more serious. Where are you at with this team right now in terms of them finding a way out of this funk that they've been in?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Matt. I will say this. I think this road trip is a big deal. And I think if they are going to have a chance to turn things around in a meaningful manner or in a way that would allow them to compete again instead of just fingers crossed, that somehow they pull it together in the second half of the season with a 15-game winning streak. I think if they want to take baby steps, it needs to start on this road trip. It's a 5-game, 10-day road trip where maybe they can bond a little bit. Have some team experiences, because it does feel like right now some of their struggles, or maybe all of their struggles, it's a head thing. Whether it's the coach saying there's not enough desperation, not enough urgency, Justin Falk using the phrase autopilot, which is a tough one to hear. So if it is going to be pretty mental, this road trip could be an opportunity to turn that around.
Yeah, it's hope can't be a strategy, Amy, but at the same time, we know the Blues' recent track record in having great finishes to seasons where they make the postseason. Last year was one of them. The Stanley Cup run was one of them. They're, even with having the second fewest amount of points in the NHL, they're still only 6 points out of a playoff spot. So everything is there for the taking, but they just haven't shown anything to say that they're actually going to do that.
No, they haven't. I don't know if you saw Jeremy Rutherford's piece for the Athletic, that the Blues are just a bad team. Mm-hmm. That was the title. And I know, here's how I feel on that. I feel like there's a caveat to it. The Blues are not a bad roster. They're not an untalented or unskilled roster. They are a good roster. Right now, they're playing like a bad team. And in some ways, you can look at that as a positive, because we know what the ceiling is for these guys. We know what the ceiling is for Jordan Binnington. We saw him carry the St. Louis Blues to Stanley Cup victory. We saw him carry Team Canada to a 4 Nations Cup victory. We know what the ceiling is for Jordan Kyrou. That guy could be hitting 40 goals a game. Robert Thomas, he should be hitting 40 goals a season, and Robert Thomas should be hitting 100 points a season. We see what these players can be. Jimmy Snuggerud, but for whatever reason, they're vastly underperforming. Jake Neighbors is leading the team in goals still, and he hasn't played in how long has it been? 11 games? I don't know. How long has it been since he played?
I think he's played 8 games this year, and they've played. So they're
11 games.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And Matt, Jordan Binnington is better than this.
Yes,
he is. And you have to assume he's a pro. He's going to turn it around. Can this team get it together? I don't know.
I don't know either, and I'd like to be able to have them do some things where we can start having some different conversations for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer that this isn't about coaching. Like, I think Jim Montgomery's a good coach, and I also think the fact that they have done this under multiple coaches. So who is the culprit? What is the culprit? Why do they do this to themselves?
Gosh, I think if we knew that question, we might be able to help out a little bit more. I don't know. Hearing the same conversations and the same comments game after game, it's one thing if you have a stretch of 3 or 4 games in the middle of the season, but to come out of the gate lacking energy, to be 19 games into this thing, and you're still hearing players talk about there's no urgency, there's no desperation, we're not winning puck battles. And they really are the worst in almost, every category, whether it's goals allowed, goals scored, it's their record, obviously. Surprisingly, the number of grade A chances they've given up, like the time in defensive zone, is actually not that bad, but the opponents are scoring on them, they're capitalizing on them. Their power play is not abysmal, so that's good. But I mean, even tonight, we see the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are in a lot of ways having the exact same conversation. If I were to pull quotes for you from the Toronto media and from the St. Louis, media or post-game conferences, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference because there are a lot of similarities as far as the frustrations and the struggles go. And even tonight, you see Toronto score an own goal. William Nylander throws it in his own net, and you think, okay, Blues, the universe handed you one. Let's keep it going. And they immediately are scored on just a couple minutes later.
Yeah, it is frustrating for sure. And it feels like, Amy, they keep trying to find different things that are happening as a reason for things for change. So they have not gone on one of these road trips before. This is a 5-game trip. They're going to be gone for over a week. So the narrative coming into this is, that's going to be good. This is a chance for the team to come together. Where before the season got started, the narrative was, got to have a hot start. You got a lot of games at home. Like it feels like they're almost searching for reasons that maybe it could turn around, if that makes sense.
It does, which is kind of what you have to do, right? Like, what's the alternative at this point? You're exactly right. Jim Montgomery said it. The captains said it. The broadcasters said it. We said it. Man, the Blues have got to get off to a hot start. This is a condensed season with the Olympic break. You do not want to put yourself in a position where you're playing catch up. You've got to win these games at home, and they didn't do any of that. So now you do have to have a new narrative, because the alternative is throwing in your hat a quarter of the way into the season saying, we didn't accomplish those things. We failed spectacularly. We may as well give up. So I think you do have to keep shifting the narrative and regrouping. It's like a constant regroup. I do think this trip is significant. If they continue to lose, I know Tom Ackerman said this on Monday, we might expect a Doug Armstrong press conference. I do think it's going to be addressed, because no matter how much anybody thought that expectations for the Blues this year were way too high in what was supposed to be a transition year, nobody could have predicted it would be this bad. And so that is something that needs to be addressed. I guess one highlight here is Jake Neighbors, who initially was supposed to be out for 5 weeks, is on this trip, and he's skating. So there's a chance he could play on this trip. And that could be a jump start. It is a long season, so it's not too late to really put some things together. But I think the longer it takes the Blues to do that, the less faith fans are going to have that they will do it.
Just a couple more minutes with Amy Marks, of course, Hockey Amy, joining us here on KMOX and Sports Open Line. We've seen some good things from the two young guys who have really bright futures in front of them, and Snuggerud and Dvorsky. Is there pressure for the team to be better, so those guys are in a better culture, and so they're just not on a bad team, if that makes any sense?
No, it makes total sense. I actually asked that of Joey Vitale when they brought up Dalibor Dvorsky. I said, hey, this is great. We're bringing up a young guy. But if you're bringing a young guy up into a dysfunctional team, like, don't you risk kind of him having a malformative experience, at the NHL level? And Joey, said, well, you could look at it that way, or you could look at it as a way that Dvorsky could say, I'm taking advantage of this. I'm going to show the team what I have. If they're not playing well, okay, I'm not going to turn down my opportunity to shine in the NHL. So, yes, I kind of agree with you. I think maybe with forwards, you can get away with it a little bit more, because if they make mistakes, they've usually got the, one forward hanging back as a barrier. They've got the defenseman as a barrier, and then the goalie. So you're protected a little bit more when you're a forward and you make those rookie mistakes. Defenseman, man, you're under a microscope. And we saw that with Logan Mailloux. And I do think he was not put in a good position, in the sense of, not that it was wrong to have him play. It was that nobody was expecting the team to feel this disconnected right now. So he wasn't really in an opportunity to thrive. I know a lot of people were pointing fingers at the young defenseman because they didn't like the trade for Zach Bolduc, but the Blues' problems are not, they're not Mailloux.
He has scored 2 goals in 4 games down at the AHL level for Springfield. Yeah, so he found it there.
He did. And I will say this. I talked to both Jimmy Snuggerud and Robert Thomas the other day about each other. And Snuggerud said that he does. He talks to Thomas about different situations, about being a playmaker. And, Thomas had nothing but praise, and, pretty humble, and was talking about how great Snuggerud was. And it's just little things that they work on together. But Snuggerud, we've praised his passing as well as his shot. And he said, yes, he's worked on his shot, but he never wanted to be a one-dimensional player. He was afraid of being a one-dimensional player, which is why he worked on his passing and playmaking ability so much.
She is Amy Marks, of course. Hockey. Amy joins us every Tuesday talking all things St. Louis Blues hockey. Amy, thanks for the time, and we'll be listening on Chris and Amy, and give a plug, obviously, for your TV show that you do with Chris Kerber as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, Wednesdays on Matrix Midwest, 6 p.m. It's Offside Hockey with Curbs and Amy. And 6 p.m. Wednesdays, Matrix Midwest is channel 32 over the air, channel 6 on Spectrum, or you can get the app.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Matt.
That's Amy Marks, of course, joining us. We appreciate her taking a few moments with us. We'll take a break. We've got more coming up in just a moment. It's Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day with high-paid celebrity endorsers, advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Lance Drury Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Lance Drury Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal problems, call me, Lance Drury in St. Louis at 314-260-6120 or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
This holiday season, the Dave Glover Show is excited to partner with Hardee's and Operation Food Search for the holiday food drive. While supplies last, stop by any metro area Hardee's and make a donation of at least $1 to benefit Operation Food Search and receive a limited edition DGS holiday sticker. All donations will benefit Operation Food Search to help children and families facing food insecurities. Get all the details about the campaign or to make an online donation, head to KMOX.com/events.
Working full-time but still falling behind? Learn how real estate education can help you build income and get ahead on your terms. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. One daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag, risk-free. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's ruffgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's ruffgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
Discover the life you want at Fairwinds River's Edge in St. Charles. We deliver a life-enhancing environment that nourishes the mind, body, and spirit as residents lean into joy and embrace purpose in a new age of senior living. Simply put, we have your back so you can put your best foot forward. Join us Wednesday, December 3rd for our holiday craft fair, followed by happy hour with BB Boomers. Visit Fairwinds River's Edge on Facebook to learn more.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. For 43 days, the left kept the government closed, holding the American people hostage and demanding radical policy changes, including free health care for illegal immigrants. However, thanks to strong Republican leadership, the Senate voted to reopen the government and put America first. I'm thrilled to return to Washington so I can continue to vote to help Missourians, to secure our nation's borders, and to cut wasteful spending. Visit onder.house.gov to find the office closest to you.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Attention business owners with a net income over $500,000. You need to work with a tax strategist that understands your entrepreneurial mindset. Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The Power of a Professional Tax Strategy Team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
We are back at it here on KMOX as we roll through the program. We take you till 8 o'clock, so a little bit more than an hour to go. In hour number 2, we've got a couple guests who are going to join us. Our friend Pete Fiutak, who is the publisher of collegefootballnews.com, is going to join us. I want to talk to him a little bit about what we're hearing in just the coaching carousel, because, and actually after we talk with him, I'm going to play a little bit from, I wanted to do it this segment, but I don't think I have time. So we'll do it after we talk with Pete Fiutak. Eli Drinkwitz had some things to say today about just the rumors and the message boards and all that sort of stuff. And I saw this on Twitter. I hope to give, I'll make sure to give credit to where credit is due. Drinkwitz largely said today the exact same thing he said the day before he left Appalachian State for Missouri. So, I mean, everybody sings off the same song sheet. And the question in all this college football coaching carousel stuff is try to find what's real. And I don't always know what it is. I struggle with it, because when a highly respected reporter from The Athletic says that Lane Kiffin was given an ultimatum from the Ole Miss administration to make a decision about his future, I tend to believe it. But then he says it didn't happen. He didn't have to say that. He is very good at deflecting. There may be no human being walking the face of the earth who is better at deflecting questions than Lane Kiffin. He loves us. He eats all this up. Like, part of me thinks he's just going to stay at Ole Miss, and this is just something he's going to do year after year after year. The other side of this is, if you're Ole Miss, why would you give Lane Kiffin an ultimatum? That'd be a dumb thing to do. From a leadership standpoint, that would be an asinine thing to do. You don't want to make him upset. You don't want to put him into a corner where he's forced to make a decision. You want to continue to support him. And, today when Eli Drinkwitz spoke, one of the things he talked about when he was discussing the rumors and all that sort of stuff, he talked about how he's in sync and, he's on the same page with so many people. And he named the university president. He named athletic director Laird Veach. And then he got into some other people who are on kind of the booster side of things. And that is, I truly believe that from a university standpoint, Eli Drinkwitz feels very supported by the University of Missouri. They have done everything that they can to show him and tell him how much he is respected and beloved and desired there. I don't see Laird Veach walking into Eli Drinkwitz's office if he's connected to the Penn State job or if he's connected to the Florida job. I don't see Laird Veach saying, I need an answer from you, and I need an answer from you within 9 days. I don't think that's something you do, because coaches like control, and coaches don't, especially college football coaches. There may not be a group of people in the world who love being able to control things more than college football coaches. And when all of a sudden somebody from the administration comes in and tries to take a little bit of that control away from you by setting the timeline, all while you're being given opportunities to go somewhere else, that's a dangerous game to play. So if Ole Miss actually did that with Lane Kiffin, I think that's a terrible decision. And honestly, if you're Ole Miss, you probably want that decision to, if he's going to leave, well, let him leave as late as possible, because you've got a college football playoff appearance that's coming up and you want him coaching in that. We'll get into that a little bit more with Pete Fiutak after the 7 o'clock news. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech.
The race is on to make humanoid robots for work and home, and Figure AI is at the forefront, introducing its third-generation Figure 03 robot, which is designed to perform human-like tasks such as folding the laundry or filling the dishwasher. Figure 03 is 5 feet 6 inches tall. The robot comes with fully articulated hands that are equipped with cameras and runs for 5 hours when fully charged. I'm Jason Brooks.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. This Black Friday, enjoy exclusive savings on our high-quality rechargeable hearing aids. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and shop Black Friday deals before they're gone at audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
When it comes to affordable term life insurance, everyone's whistling the Big Lou tune. If you're over 50, maybe a bit porky, or have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost about $200 a month. Even if you're not in perfect health, call Big Lou, because he specializes in finding big chunks of affordable term life insurance for just about everyone. Don't let diabetes or other health glitches keep you from owning $500,000 to $1 million or more of term life insurance. For affordable term life insurance, call Big Lou. Don't hesitate. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or visit biglou.com.
Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Visit biglou.com.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey. If you or someone you know has a home to sell, call Gloria Lou. That's right, Gloria Lou, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria is here with me now. And when it comes to St. Louis area market conditions, what advice do you have for home sellers in today's market?
Well, most importantly, I understand every seller's situation is different. Some sellers need to sell, and some sellers want to sell. And a lot of my sellers are looking to buy, and they also have a home to sell. My advice in this uncertain market is to get an upfront written guarantee. That way, you know exactly how much you stand to make with your home sale. My guarantee sale offer is simple. I'll sell your home at 100% market value, or I'll pay you the difference.
Take it from me, Debbie Monterey. Sell with certainty and an upfront written guarantee with Gloria Lou. 314-325-6888. 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh.
Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood, the voice of St. Louis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Christopher Cruz in Washington. Moving swiftly today, the House and then the Senate approved a bill that requires the DOJ to release the Epstein files. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House.
CBS's Erica Brown on what happens after that.
So the Epstein Files Transparency Act stipulates that after this bill is signed into law, those files have to be released within 30 days. It compels the Justice Department to release all unclassified materials, records, communications related to Jeffrey Epstein, as well as related to the investigation into his death in federal prison.
And President Trump today renewed his call for Democrats who associated with Epstein to be investigated.
Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did.
The Trump administration is taking more steps to sharply reduce the size of the Department of Education.
Massive layoffs at the department were just the beginning. Now comes delegating programs to other agencies. Education Secretary Linda McMahon described this as a pilot program.
Because I want to prove to Congress that these transfers of programs are more efficient and that they work.
Acknowledging on CBS's The Takeout that only Congress can actually eliminate programs like special education. She added, with test scores going down, it's clear it's time to make some changes.
We are clearly doing something wrong.
Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
We've learned that about 250 federal agents will take part in a major immigration crackdown in New Orleans beginning December 1st. Here's New Orleans Police Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick.
We are expecting that. It's just like the National Guard. We know that they are coming.
A panel of 3 federal judges today blocked Texas from using the congressional map that Republican state legislators drew in hopes of picking up 5 U.S. House seats. The 2-1 ruling is a blow to President Trump's efforts to have states draw more favorable maps ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. Loyola Law's Lori Levinson on the reasoning behind the decision.
The ruling makes clear that the reason that the maps that were drawn in Texas were illegal is because this was racial gerrymandering, not political gerrymandering.
It's the most valuable work ever sold by the famed Sotheby's auction house. Gustav Klimt's portrait of Elizabeth Lederer has sold for $236.4 million. It was another jarring day on Wall Street following a sell-off in European and Asian stock markets. The Dow closed down more than 1%. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 7:03, it's a clear sky, few clouds out there, 57 degrees downtown at the Arch. Sheriff Alfred Montgomery's Quo Warranto trial postponed today after a federal judge failed to let him out of detention in order to attend. Attorneys for Sheriff Montgomery filed for the release a week ago. Attorney David Mason says usually they grant more time.
We've been known to try to give a month in advance on it.
Justin Gelfand is leading the sheriff's defense in the federal criminal case and made the filing.
In the Eastern District of Missouri, this motion was timely filed. I don't believe that that's the issue.
After a lengthy meeting with the attorneys, the federal judge granted Montgomery's release so he could attend the state Quo Warranto trial that does begin tomorrow morning. Judging from the St. Louis Aldermanic Urban Development and Zoning Committee hearing that lasted more than 5 hours today, a lot of work still needs to be done to get ARPA funds, those are the relief dollars from the pandemic, spent.
One of the projects that stands out is the Northside Business Grant Program, with very little of the $37 million obligated for improvements have been dispersed. Noel Pfeffer is executive director of CDA, and he says Oracle is tracking that money.
I want to be very clear. While it's true that Oracle is tracking about $63 million in CDA expenditures, that's not to say that the remaining funds are in city accounts. Of CDA's $189 million in funds that we are administering, $132 million of those have been advanced.
Pfeffer says $91 million is what CDA is tracking, but he cautions that Oracle lags significantly behind reality in terms of expenditures for several reasons.
It is a newer system that we are still working to operationalize in government, but also because we have advanced $132 million.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
The final deadline to spend the ARPA funds is December 2026. Your Illinois ID is going digital. Starting tomorrow, you'll be able to add it to your Apple Wallet. Secretary of State Alexei Janulia says it'll also work at many airports.
You'll be able to use your mobile ID at O'Hare, Midway, and Lambert airports, and at over 250 airports nationwide.
Janulius adds that neither the state nor Apple can track where you use your ID. A St. Louis family law attorney has been recognized for his work helping survivors of intimate partner violence.
Cordell and Cordell litigation partner Will Hallis has volunteered his time helping survivors navigate the legal system, something he says is hard for most people to do on their own.
They may have a key piece of information, but they don't know how to get it in front of the judge in the proper way. And so the judge can't take that into consideration, and it can be a huge detriment to their case.
Hallis volunteers his time helping survivors understand the process and getting them ready to appear in court. He's one of the first recipients of the Jim Holleran Legacy of Advocacy Award presented by St. Louis Survivors Legal Support. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Overnight clouds 47 for tomorrow, clouds and 60. Right now, clear skies, some clouds, 57 degrees downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
We roll into our second hour. Tonight's a big night. The next edition of the College Football Playoff Rankings is going to be coming out. In many ways, the coaching carousel news seems to be bigger than even that. And to talk all things college football, we're very happy to welcome back onto the show Pete Fiutak. You read him at collegefootballnews.com, where he is the publisher of that site, which is a great site to get your college football news. Pete, always appreciate you taking the time with us. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. So what do you make of the Lane Kiffin is given an ultimatum, and then he says he's not given an ultimatum, and he's got family members in Baton Rouge and in Gainesville? Like, this whole thing is even more of a circus than it normally is with him.
It is, because he's the one guy who's available, because everyone thinks they can get him, and, he might not be available, and there's only one of them to go around, and he's kind of the hot guy going right now. So I get it. He's doing a great job at Ole Miss, and he kind of likes it there in LSU. The thing about all these programs is especially the really gigantic ones, they all think they can get anyone they want. They're all like, well, of course they want to come coach here. I mean, why wouldn't they, want to be a part of this? And then not really recognizing that not everyone wants, some of these big jobs. I mean, they're all making money, they're 10 generations ahead now. So money is nice, and they all like it, and they all follow the money, certain stuff, but they don't care that much about it. They don't necessarily want the headaches to go along with it. And if you're Lane Kiffin, I don't know why you'd want the LSU gig, because either you have to win the national championship immediately, or 10 wins isn't good enough. Florida's that's a hike, because you still have the SEC schedules and things. So he's gonna have to kind of pick his best place, because at Ole Miss, the bar's been raised now, but they've never really won, and so they're not. This is like the best era of Ole Miss football ever. So whatever he's able to do there, if he's happy, he might just stick around.
Am I right in saying it seems counterintuitive if you're the Ole Miss administration to try to force some type of decision from Kiffin? That doesn't seem like good leadership.
Well, here's the problem. It's the timing of these things, where if you are going after Lane Kiffin, like let's say you're LSU and he's going to be your next football coach. Well, you got to get going. I mean, this is now. You got transfer portals coming up. You've got recruiting to do. You've got to get in the mix here, because they're going to want to win right away. Problem is, season's still going, and you can't just go grab Lane Kiffin right now. And what's he supposed to do? Go, leave when your team's going to be in the college football playoff? I mean, Brian Kelly actually did that when, Notre Dame was still in the college football playoff hunt. It was still possible. They didn't get in, but he left before it was sure that he was out. So, this is a sticky situation always. And if you're Ole Miss, you are going to have the same sort of thing. You have to be like, look, if you're going to leave, we got to figure this out because we got to do our own coaching search. You don't want to start doing that until he's gone.
Missouri fans keep a very close eye on this because it feels like Kiffin is the first domino and Drinkwitz could be a domino in there. What's your gut feeling? Do you feel like Missouri does enough to keep Drink, or is this something where he's going to take the opportunity to look elsewhere?
I think whenever I hear any of this, it's that some agent is throwing it out there that Drinkwitz is, being, wooed by other places just so we can get an extension from Mizzou. That's usually how this works. I mean, maybe, you never know. I mean, it's these coaching carousels and situations, it's always so murky until they actually get there and get to work. I mean, I was never a Brian Kelly fan in so many different ways, but you're talking about the guy who was the all-time winningest head coach at Notre Dame. He was pretty good at what he did, and 10 wins in each of his first 2 seasons at LSU, a 9-win season, a Heisman Trophy winner, close to this college football playoff last year. This year, a little bit down, and even so, they're still going to go to a good bowl and whacked. Not good enough. So you just never quite know. Hugh Freeze at Auburn, for years the SEC wanted Hugh Freeze back, and he gets to Auburn and nothing. So it's just a hard thing to know until these guys get into the program and get going.
Well, Brian Kelly's a great example. I mean, you look at James Franklin has his team in the college football playoff last year, and then it's a wretched year for Penn State. But we used to live in a world where established coaches with programs were allowed to have a bad season.
Well, and you know what? There's that problem with, James Franklin can't win the big one, all that stuff. You're right. He got to the Final Four last year. Okay, so they got BYU, Boise State, and the SMU games, but still, you get to the college football playoff Final Four, you did something all right. And they were a 4th down stop away against Oregon from probably being the number 1 team in the country. And so who knows what happens? The butterfly flaps and swings from there. So I still think he's a great head coach. I think he was. It's be careful of what you wish for, because everyone just always thinks, it's always the grass is always greener on the other side. There's always more, I want the next guy up. I want the next Kurt Signetti. But it's hard. I mean, James Franklin won over 70% of his games. And what college football fans fail to realize, it's hard to win 60% of your games. Most coaches can't do that. And the only guy who was there at a school as long as Franklin was at Penn State, who won as many games or more, a higher percentage, was Dabo. So it's really, really, really hard to win lots of college football games.
Yeah, what's the standard for getting the college football? They changed it to get Mike Leach in because he was one win away. Do you know off the top of your head what that number is? It's like is it like 55% or something?
They should have done something different for that, because Leach didn't win anything. I mean, he's one of the master innovators. He's he changed the game of college football. So if, in that way, they should have found a way to get him in the hall without changing things, because he never won. So they had to kind of twist it a little bit. So there should have been a way to get him in without having to do that.
But I mean, the point is, it's not this huge number. So if that's the number for being a Hall of Famer, that backs up your point of just how hard it is to win.
It doesn't matter where you are. Ryan Day has won 87% of his games, and if they lose to Michigan, there's going to be a portion of the Ohio State crowd that's going to want him launched. It's just the weirdest thing when it comes to coaches. You cannot go on any sort of a losing streak if you're a major college football head coach.
This year for Missouri, it's it's not bad. They just had their offensive performance against Mississippi State this past weekend was really impressive. They're a 7-win team. They've got a chance to win 10 games if they were to win out, including a bowl game. That doesn't seem likely with the game against Oklahoma this weekend. But how much of this is a lost year for Missouri versus this is just what happens when you are Missouri, especially when you lose your quarterback?
Well, it's not even that you're Missouri. You're in the SEC. I mean, not everyone. It's the hard part is you have 16 programs. Not everyone can win. It's hard to win a lot of games. And so again, if you're in the SEC, those other guys are getting NIL money too. Now for Mizzou, this Oklahoma win game, I should say, really sort of validates the season. They haven't beaten a team that's going to go to a bowl game. So it's kind of what Mizzou does. I mean, I know a couple of years ago they were great, and they got to the bowl and beat Ohio State and have quarterbacks and all that kind of stuff. But whatever, they've won their share of big games under Drinkwitz, but they're also really good at beating the teams you're supposed to beat. And I know it sounds like I'm dogging Mizzou, but that's kind of going back to the James Franklin. If it was so easy, everyone would do it. If it was so easy to beat all those teams on the schedule. Look, Arizona State lost to Mississippi State. It's not easy to do that. However, Mizzou's got 7 wins over teams that are just sort of okay. So this would be they beat Oklahoma, and all of a sudden that validates the season. But look, smoke and mirrors time. They're doing it with a third string quarterback. So I don't care who you are or how good that third string guy is. That's still asking a lot. But like you said, they had the offensive explosion because Hardy in that running game was able to kind of pick up the slack against the Bulldogs last week.
It's interesting comparing them to Illinois. They're each 7-3. Each team has been in the top 25 this year. Missouri back in here recently. Illinois on the outside looking in. You can say Illinois' best win is probably better than Missouri's best win. How do you view this Illinois team where they've got that same 7-3 record, and it just seems like there's not quite as much discontent towards them?
Because they lost Indiana too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's their losses are pretty okay, and you got the win over USC, which kind of helps. But yeah, it's still Illinois, and so it's basketball season, and so that's where the love really kicks in. But still, no one was really thinking that this was going to be a Big Ten championship contender, even though they got so much talent back coming off a good year. But it is a strong team that, it probably should have been in the mix for, an outside shot at the college football playoff. But, look, they had they couldn't hit the curveball on the wrong day against Indiana. So you had the real ugly loss there. They kind of got the miracle win over USC, but it's still a win, and that's going to matter big. Let's see. It's tonight in a few minutes here where they put USC. They should be much higher than they currently have been. But it's still, they've done an all right job this year. The Washington game wasn't very good, but that's a good Washington team on the road. But again, you're talking in these power conferences, especially the SEC and Big Ten. Everyone's got, everyone can win on the right day for the most part. These teams are good, so it's really hard to win lots and lots and lots and lots of games.
Final thing for Pete Fiutak from collegefootballnews.com, and as he mentioned, the college football playoff rankings coming out in just a little while. You tweeted about this earlier today, but what some are your kind of talking points that you're looking at as the new rankings come out this evening?
Where do they put James Madison? I mean, they haven't beaten anybody. I mean, they have not beaten a team that, first of all, their main calling card is that they lost to Louisville by 2 touchdowns. They haven't beaten anyone as close to as good as what the American Conference teams are having to go through. So it's fine, but let's see what they place them. But the other thing to remember is everyone's going to make up too many things out of this next round of rankings. They still throw them all away. They still start it over next week, and things can change. But what the thing to look for is, where do they put BYU? Because Alabama can't do a whole heck of a lot unless they get into the SEC championship game. I mean, beating Auburn would be nice. That wouldn't be too massive. But if BYU is ahead of Alabama now and it goes 11-1 and goes to the Big 12 championship, someone's got to be left out. And the other thing is, do they ever move Miami back up? They've had Miami kind of chronically low and Notre Dame a little bit too high considering Miami beat them. So let's see if they kind of correct that a little bit.
Do you see an Alabama schedule the rest of the way? Eastern Illinois, that's going to be a win. It doesn't matter. Then they go to Auburn. You would think they would win that game. That's essentially a college football playoff elimination game for Alabama, isn't it?
To a point, it's because it's the tiebreakers in the SEC are awful. Yeah. It's just the most bizarre thing. First of all, you have to beat Auburn or else you're out. If you're Alabama at this point. But the real key is Texas versus Texas A&M, because first of all, Texas A&M did not have to play Alabama, Alabama, Ole Miss, or Georgia, the 3 really other good teams this year. And so if they lose to Texas, they're out of the SEC championship game, which then becomes Georgia versus Alabama. So the Bama fans have to root for that. But again, tonight, for the talking points tonight, where BYU is going to set the tone for the rest of the season, because if they're there now, that sets up some big games down the stretch for them to see what they can do.
collegefootballnews.com is a fantastic website. If you're a college football fan, it should be a daily visit for you. Pete Fiutak is their publisher, and we always appreciate when he takes some time here on KMOX. Pete, thank you so much, and enjoy the unveil coming up here in about 10 minutes or so.
You got it. Hey, have a great night.
All right, very good. That's Pete Fiutak joining us here on the show, collegefootballnews.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, I saw this on social media today, and I thought it was interesting. Want to play for you a comparison of some things that Eli Drinkwitz said today versus some things that he said when he was wrapping up his tenure at Appalachian State. We'll do it's a Graybar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original, present 100 years of KMOX.
October 20th, 1982.
There when St. Louis celebrated.
Sitter from the belt to the plate. A swing and a miss, and that's the winner. That's the winner. A World Series winner for the Cardinals. Porter throws his mask into the air. The players converge around the mound. The police arrive on the scene. The Cardinals have won the game 6-3. The Cardinals have won the National League pennant. And the Cardinals have won the 1982 World Series.
There for every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. Brought to you by Together Credit Union. Competitive rates to help you save more and borrow smarter. Visit togethercu.org.
So I was out for a walk today, and literally the house, 2 houses down from me, I saw a wire coming out of their home. And I said, are they doing it? Are they doing it? Are they joining the group of us that love getting our internet from i3 Broadband? And lo and behold, I walked by a tree, and there is the truck. i3 Broadband, there's the worker, the technician installing it. Everything is being taken care of. And I go, you know what? The people in that house right there, they are going to have a wonderful internet experience moving forward. That is a true 100% story. Me and my wife, my daughter, we were walking today, and it happens all the time in my neighborhood. I always see the i3 trucks rolling around. I always see new homes. You can tell because everything's underground. The way it works out is when they come in, they put the wire down. It's above ground for just like a day or two, and then they come and somebody else comes and buries it. It's really no big deal at all. But for a day or two, you can see the wire, right? So I always know when people have joined i3 Broadband. I would encourage you to do the exact same thing. The fact that it's underground is awesome because it's super reliable. You don't have to worry about a small little storm or maybe a little wind comes through and all of a sudden your internet goes down. Nah, don't have to worry about that with i3 Broadband. You're going to save money for better service. That's the bottom line. When I say better service, I'm talking about reliable service. I'm talking about fast service, 1 gig, 2 gigs, 8 gigs. They have a plan that fits any budget, and you're going to feel so good about the decision you made. Head to their website, see if they're available in your neighborhood, i3broadband.com. That's i3broadband.com.
For 100 years, KMOX has been part of St. Louis. Now, Together Credit Union is helping celebrate that legacy. Starting in November, visit any Together Credit Union branch to pick up a KMOX 100th anniversary commemorative ornament for just $5 while supplies last. Each ornament supports Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis. Together Credit Union, honoring 100 years of KMOX, the voice of St. Louis, and Children's Miracle Network of Greater St. Louis, improving the health of all children.
Are you tired of online threats? Then get an antivirus. It's the only online protection you will ever need.
Just a quick question. Does it encrypt your online traffic the same as NordVPN?
No, but it protects your device. Just pop that CD in and you're good to go.
But it will stop your internet service provider and other snoopers from monitoring you online, right?
Oh, no, not really. It won't stop online snoopers or block annoying ads. In fact, forget what I said at the beginning of this ad. This ad is now about NordVPN. I just realized that an antivirus is only half protection online. So get better online protection with the NordVPN Black Friday deal. It will encrypt your traffic, protect you from malware and phishing, and stop annoying ads. This Black Friday, get NordVPN with 73% off and enjoy 3 extra months. Yeah!
At Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, every moment with our patients is a gift. Thanks to supporters like you, children have hope as they fight serious illness and reach incredible milestones. Please donate today at treeofhope.org.
The Woodlands of Arnold campus offers skilled rehab, a beautiful assisted living community, and a secure memory care to keep your loved ones safe. Check us out at rspseniorliving.com. That's rspseniorliving.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Back at it as we do roll on, taking you till 8 o'clock this evening. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we're going to talk with Chris Birch. He is the head men's soccer coach at Lindenwood. Lindenwood is headed to the NCAA men's soccer tournament. Really cool that the St. Louis area has two teams in the D1 men's soccer tournament with both SLU and Lindenwood in there. The first time ever, by the way, for Lindenwood to get into the NCAA tournament. So really, really, really good story all the way around, and appreciate being able to talk with him coming up in just a few moments. Lots of good soccer going on in the area. Would be remiss not to mention also what has happened with Wash U Soccer, as they are also in a very, very good shape. I want to make sure I talk about it appropriately and where they're at, but they are they're right there in terms of from a D3 standpoint. They are playing in the tournament as well. So we know that, right? We know that about the St. Louis area and what happens when it comes to soccer. So Wash U, they are headed to the Sweet 16 in their tournament. And then that's on the men's side. On the women's side, they're headed to the Sweet 16 as well. So great stuff all the way around when it comes to that. Well, I saw this on social media. I just had to laugh. I had to laugh when I heard this. So Eli Drinkwitz spoke to the media today, and he addressed the coaching rumors and he refers to the message boards and the fake news and all that sort of stuff. So this was Eli Drinkwitz today when he was going through everything that's taking place right now with the rumors about him and his college football coaching future.
I'm not going to comment on message board chatters, tweets, sources. I've maintained with you and our team that my complete focus is on the task at hand. Last week, people were tired of me because I couldn't win the big game. People had me meeting with my team and telling them that I was going to another school, none of which were true. Now this week, it's a different story because we scored the second most points in the SEC this year at 49. So, all of this stuff is just a distraction. I would like to remind everybody, including our fans, we absolutely love Mizzou. We love what we're building. We've been to 6 straight bowl games. We've got the sellout streak going. Our administration has been nothing but phenomenal to me. The alignment that we have with our president.
All right, so that's all great. That's what you expect him to say, talking through how he loves Mizzou and how he's not worried about the outside noise and how there's so much stuff that's not true, yada, 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 yada. Okay, good. I'm good with that. I found this to be funny. Somebody on social media at BR1839 tweeted this out. So you just listened to Eli Drinkwitz. Remember the words that he used, the phrases that he used. This was Eli Drinkwitz speaking with the Appalachian State media one day before he took the Mizzou job.
How do you go about navigating coaching rumors and looking at opportunities as they pop up?
Well, I hate to make this comparison, but the president of the United States always says fake news, and you don't really believe about it until you start seeing it about yourself a lot. There's a lot of fake news and a lot of rumors and a lot of stuff going on out there. Our focus this week was trying to be 1-0. And my family and I love it here. We're very excited about what we're doing here at App State. But at the same time, every opportunity, I owe it to my family to see if that's something that we're interested in. But I'm not in any hurry to leave. I feel strongly that we're building something special here that can be sustained for a long periods of time. So when it refers to me, I would prefer for it to be about this players, this team, and what we've accomplished. And when all that stuff plays out, then we'll answer the questions as it plays out, and I'll be upfront with everybody. But right now, there's nothing to it.
All right, so to be fair right there, he did acknowledge that, you have to look to other places, and he did not say that in what he said today. I just found it funny. And look, I'm sure if you take a radio show from me 3, 4, 5 years ago, and you take a radio show from me 3, 4, 5 years from now, there's a lot of words and phrases and expressions that I'm going to say and that I'm going to use that are going to be very similar. When I heard that today, I started laughing because it was so similar. It was so similar to what he said today. Many of those same words and thoughts were being conveyed. I don't want Eli Drinkwitz to leave. I really don't. I don't think he's going to either. I'm not like 100% convinced on this. The comments he's made recently about the Fortune 500 companies giving more support. And Bernie and I have talked about this a little bit over the last 2 days during Rush Hour Sports. You can say that, you know what? He's setting up an excuse for why he would leave, right? That if he were to leave, well, then it can be cited. Well, the Fortune 500 companies in the state of Missouri just did not step up the way that he wanted them to step up, and that the Fortune 500 companies in Florida or in Pennsylvania or wherever he could potentially go were ready to be more active and give more and help the team with NIL. Look, I realize that Missouri is going to be a step behind NIL in some of those big football states, and that's just the way it is. I think Missouri punches way above their weight when it comes to what they're doing in NIL, even when it comes to what they're getting from local government, the way the NIL rules were put in place to allow high schoolers from the state of Missouri to start monetizing themselves earlier than just when they get to school and officially become college athletes. I think Missouri's pushing about as far as they can. Can they find some more money? Sure. I don't know what it looks like. This would be an interesting conversation to have with a Laird Veach, and maybe we'll have it with him at some point. Really like him and would like to get him back on the show at some point in time. But I would be curious to know, what do those conversations look like when Veach and the other power brokers connected to Missouri athletics, and I'm sure Eli Drinkwitz would be involved in this as well, when they go get into the room with leadership at these large corporations that call Missouri home, how do you sell them on the idea that they need to be giving more money, that it makes sense for them to be more involved? And I don't know how well that's going to be received everywhere. That's why I asked Bernie earlier today, do you feel like these Fortune 500 companies have an obligation to support the football program in the state? And I'm not sure they do, but this is also going on everywhere. I saw Kenny Dillingham is the head coach at Arizona State. And I saw a clip of him yesterday saying how, every single business in the Valley there in Phoenix needs to be connecting with Arizona State football. And, restaurants should be working NIL deals with athletes and naming menu items after them and things like that. Like some version of this conversation is taking place just about everywhere across the country. This is not something that is unique to Missouri whatsoever. All right, Lindenwood Soccer. They are into the NCAA men's soccer tournament. They open up their run coming up on Thursday night. We'll talk with their coach. He joins us, Chris Birch, just in just a moment or so here on KMOX.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times. We haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now, 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, just check the mail. We've been invited to a seminar and dinner is free.
It's gonna be chicken, and it'll taste like Play-Doh.
Don't be fooled. All seminars are not the same. For example, Steve All, an investment advisor representative and founder of the All Financial Group, is hosting a taxes and retirement seminar at his office in Chesterfield on December 10th. Come meet Steve's newest advisor, Tracy Richardson, as she discusses the big beautiful bill, taxes on your Social Security, and more. Tracy will not only cover the hurdles you can face in retirement, but ways to keep more money in your pocket and less in Uncle Sam's. This is a complimentary event, but seating is limited, so reserve your seat today. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
You know, hon, I've always been interested in us buying a timeshare.
I'd rather eat Play-Doh.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan. Have you noticed loose bricks or missing mortar around your house, on the walls, the patios, the walkways, the porch, or the chimneys? If so, you need to call Morelli Tuck Pointing. 314-645-1387. You might need one of two things: solid tuck pointing, the removal of old mortar with the replacement of new mortar throughout an entire wall or chimney, or maybe just spot tuck pointing. Spot tuck pointing involves the tuck pointing of a particular wall, a chimney, or other masonry surface in an area where it's needed the most. One example might be settlement cracks, usually found above or below windows or doorways. 314-645-1387. Call the company that the Brennans have called when we've needed tuck pointing. Morelli Tuck Pointing, the masonry specialists. Winner of the Angie's List Super Service Award every year since 2005. 314-645-1387, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real. And I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
It's the Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley, continuing to take you through. Right now, we are very happy to welcome on to the program. He is the head coach of the Lindenwood men's soccer team. They are getting set to play in their first ever NCAA men's soccer tournament. They're going to match up against Kansas City in a game that's going to be coming up on the other side of the state, coming up on Thursday. And Coach Chris Birch joins us right now. Coach, appreciate you taking some time. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk me through just kind of what it's been like for you over the last handful of days, ever since you were able to secure a berth, and then you find out who you're going to be playing, and just the whirlwind that is everything that's going on with you and your program right now.
For sure. I first wanted to say it's been wonderful. The community's been so receptive of our success, and they've been a huge part of our success in terms of supporting us and backing us, and the community coming out, and it's been wonderful. But to reflect the last few days, it's been wonderful to be able to really digest what we just put into the body of work, not only of the course of the whole season, but obviously we're measured on those last few games. And then to be the last team standing is wonderful, and to provide our school the first ever opportunity to play in a national tournament in the NCAA Division I era is exciting.
So in the OVC championship, you matched up against Houston Christian. It goes to PKs, and you win 4-2 on PKs after a 1-1 tie. Can you explain to me what the emotions were like as that PK period was moving through?
Yeah, I think like anyone, it's not a wonderful way to end a soccer game. That's, tight between two teams, but that's the rules of the game, the sport. So, we just try and do the best we can at them. And so obviously we practiced. I'm sure they did too. And we just felt if we got to this point, we trusted ourselves and our training, and felt really good that we had a really good shot to come out on top.
You were able to play those matches in St. Louis. How much did that play into just the success there, that you were able to be in a very comfortable environment?
Oh, for sure. The Hunter Stadium's wonderful. It's a beautiful setup for your stadium. We've really dominated at home. I think we went undefeated this year at home. And having your home support, your locker room, sleeping in your own bed, I think all those things add up. Our opponent in finals there was in St. Louis at a hotel for a week, playing. Got there early and stayed all week. And, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but being at home is wonderful. And it was great to have the St. Louis community, St. Charles community supporting us.
This it's really cool. We all know that St. Louis is such a great soccer community, but this year, obviously, the SLU men are in there. Everything that's been going on soccer-wise since City has come into existence. How much do you and your program just enjoy being part of kind of the soccer ecosystem in the St. Louis area?
It really is beautiful. I've been fortunate. I've lived all over the country. I come from a soccer hotbed, and I've moved into some soccer hotbeds, but I will adamantly say this is the soccer capital of America. It's really just different here. It's generation after generation, and everybody seems to be involved with the sport in some degree or some level, and the support is incredible. You still see, high school championships last year were held at Lindenwood, and there was 4,000 or 5,000 people there for high school soccer, and that just doesn't happen anywhere else in the country. So it's a special market, and we believe in it, and we're very proud to have a bunch of young men from St. Louis on our roster.
Do you like the fact that you're, and we're talking to you while you're on the bus? You don't have to, it's 3.5 hour bus ride or so as you make your way out to Kansas City. It's not a very far distance. So if you can't play at home, did this work out pretty well that you were at least, friends, family, fans, that it's not going to be too terrible for them to be able to follow you guys out there?
Exactly right. We have a lot of people from not only St. Louis area, but other parts of Missouri. And so we have some alumni from previous years that have come from Kansas City who will be at the game. And anytime you can get in a fairly short Midwest drive of 3.5 hours, that's pretty local. You're not going to get too many more local road trips against good teams that close.
We are continuing to talk with the head men's soccer coach at Lindenwood. He is Chris Birch. What you have the excitement of knowing that you're going to the tournament. You have the excitement of the selection show and finding out where you're going. At what point did being excited about all that come to an end and getting locked back in on your next opponent start?
Yeah, the hard part is when you win, can't prepare. You can't do anything. You're kind of in hold mode, just recover your legs from the tournament, and then you wait till Monday, and then if the selection show goes roughly 12 to 12:30, and the second 12:30 hits, you get excited to go talk about your opponent and go train and prepare, but except it ends up being 1,000 different things you have to do because you just found out where you're going, and the travel and rosters and things need to be submitted, and then there's meetings set up, and I spent the first 3 hours doing anything but talking soccer and thinking about the team and the match. So it's wonderful because then every other coach in the department is saying congrats and asking about the team we're playing and this, that, and the other. So it's as much as I'd like to get right to work, there was a little bit of down period. But no, I think right at that point, that's the moment we kind of set it and say, all right, get down to business again.
Excuse my ignorance on this question. I know you did not play Kansas City this year, but obviously they're just a few hours away. Is this a program that you're very familiar with, or is it a lot of learning about them as quickly as possible?
Yeah, I have not coached against them since I've been at Lindenwood, but I did coach against them when I was at St. Louis University. Really good program, talented, very well coached. They made a great run in the tournament last year, I think to the Sweet 16. It's a fantastic program, and they were very close to earning one of the top 16 seats in the tournament this year. They fell a little short out of that, but they got the home game against us. So yeah, they're a very good program.
Is there value? And yeah, I'll just ask the question. They lost in their championship game in the Summit League Championship to Denver, as opposed to you guys winning the league championship. How much momentum, how much can that be an advantage when you're going into postseason play on a winning note?
Yeah, I think that always makes you feel a little bit better going into the next game coming off of high. I don't think it'll play any part once the two teams show up and balls in play. I think that kind of the game will play out, whether the matchup is wonderful for us or not wonderful. I think the game will just play out the way it does.
Chris Birch joining us. As you got this, as everything happened, as you found out who we were going to play, is there anybody who maybe reached out to you? Was there any moment, any text message, anything that was especially special for you?
Yeah, you always kind of expect people that are the most closest to you will reach out and say things, but it becomes this spider web of relationships and contacts and people you cross paths with over the years. It just really makes you take a step backwards and really appreciate how much people do care about you and what you're doing, and to hear from them is wonderful. And people and it gives everybody a good reason to say congrats or they will be following, wishing you luck. It's just sport can bring so many great memories together and people together.
Lindenwood going to play at Kansas City. That's going to be coming up on Thursday. The winner of that game will match up against the number 12 seed Stanford. That is on Sunday. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck coming up. I'm hoping for a long run for you guys, and it's such a cool story. I'm glad that you were able to share some of it with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You bet. That is Chris Birch. He is the head coach at Lindenwood, their men's soccer team, into the NCAA tournament. First time ever. We'll take a break. Have more in just a moment. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Purina presents A Century of Service.
This is KMOX Radio.
KMOX is celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining St. Louis. On November 20th, KMOX Day, we will celebrate the KMOX pioneers.
This is Jim White for your information.
Legendary voices.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Groundbreaking programming.
KMOX Radio. We're at your service.
And unforgettable moments that have defined a century of broadcasting.
We did locate Ben this afternoon, and we've also located Sean Harnbeck.
Hear from current and former KMOX personalities who have helped make this station the preeminent news, information, and sports brand in America. A century of service, celebrating 100 years of KMOX, is presented by Purina, your pet, our passion, on the voice of St. Louis. KMOX.
KMOX proudly supports the Musial Awards, returning to Stiefel Theater Saturday, November 22nd. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event, hosted right here in St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the show celebrates the year's greatest moments of sportsmanship and those who embody class and character. Experience the extraordinary moments and people that make the Musial Awards an event like no other. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Retirement shouldn't feel like balancing your checkbook while blindfolded. I'm Gary Goldberg, and my team helps you see the big picture so you can retire younger, richer, and with less anxiety. Because guessing is not a strategy. Tune in to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. This Black Friday, enjoy exclusive savings on our high-quality rechargeable hearing aids. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and shop Black Friday deals before they're gone at audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
You could think you found your dream home online. The kitchen island looks perfect for your inner chef. The backyard, a paradise for your green thumb. And that extra room, hello walk-in closet. But here's the twist. The lot next door just got rezoned for years of construction. And this sound, yeah, you're going to be hearing a lot of that. Don't let your dream home turn into a nightmare. Work with the expertise and ethical training of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-548-4040. 800-548-4040. That's 800-548-4040.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Back in for just a few more minutes. This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. Today was another mile marker day of the Major League Baseball offseason as players had to make the decision whether or not they were going to accept the qualifying offer. And a number of players did. 4 individuals across Major League Baseball accepted the qualifying offer, and 2 of them come from the NL Central, both pitchers. As Brandon Woodruff, he is going to remain with the Brewers, and Cubs pitcher Shota Imanaga accepts the qualifying offer as well. So they are going to return to their respective teams, and they are going to have salaries of just over $22 million for the upcoming season. Sidebar on this, it really bugs me. And they could maybe work on this in the next CBA because the players agreed to it. It bugs me that the Cubs can turn down an option on Imanaga, a multi-year option, and then immediately place the qualifying offer on him. Because what they do right there is they lower his free agent value. When you put the qualifying offer on somebody, all of a sudden to be able to sign that player, a team has to give away a draft pick. So the inherent value of that player goes down because they are attached to losing a draft pick. If I was working with the players and I wanted to put some things into the collective bargaining agreement, there's a number of small things I would do. I would make it where you cannot, as a team, turn down an option on a player and then come back around and place the qualifying offer on them. I think you should forfeit your right to use the qualifying offer on any player that you decline an option on. I feel I've talked about this before. I feel the same way about players who are still in arbitration years, who have contracts that have arbitrations, kind of like contracts that have options on them, kind of like what happened in Milwaukee with William Contreras, where they declined the option on Contreras, and now they're going to allow him to go through the arbitration process. I also think that you forfeit a player forfeits the arbitration process if you as a team turn down an option. I don't think you can be able to go back to arbitration. So I don't know. If I ruled all of baseball, those were some of the changes that I would make. But that's a sidebar to this whole thing. Imanaga and Woodruff, and then Yankees outfielder Trent Grisham, another guy who used to be in the NL Central, and Tigers infielder Gleyber Torres were the 4 players who decided to take the qualifying offer. And then the players who turned it down: Phillies DH Kyle Schwarber, Phillies pitcher Ranger Suarez, Cubs outfielder Kyle Tucker, Astros pitcher Framber Valdez, Blue Jays infielder Bo Bichette, Padres pitchers Dylan Cease and Michael King, Mets closer Edwin Diaz, and Diamondbacks pitcher Zach Gallen. So those players become free agents. They can sign back with their old team. They can sign with other teams. If they sign with other teams, there is draft pick compensation that goes to their former team, but they have turned down the $22 million offer, and they cannot go back and try to get that. They can try, but that's not something that they can be guaranteed now. So that puts them in free agency. There had been some media speculation in the market about whether or not the Cardinals would get involved with somebody who's got a qualifying offer attached to them. I would be beyond shocked if that happened. Beyond shocked. I don't think this organization is at a point right now where losing draft picks is something that's on the old bingo card for Heimblum. I just don't. Now, could somebody come to me and present a scenario where, hey, if they've got an opportunity to bring in Kyle Tucker on a 6-year deal, would you do that? Like, yeah, but that's not happening, right? They're not at a place right now where that's going to happen. If we go into some sort of bizarro world and that does occur where all of a sudden you can get one of these players for a long-term deal and you're willing to have the expenditure that goes along with it, okay, I guess in that scenario, it would be something, because we've talked about it a lot in recent weeks. If they are going to bring in free agents, you would hope that they would bring in free agents that they could lock in and have some club control on or have years on, so they could be around when this thing starts to turn around again and they start to play at the highest levels. So I look at that list of players who turned down the qualifying offer, and I don't see for me, a plausible scenario on any of them that would result in the Cardinals engaging with them. Could something crazy happen? Like we still don't know what the environment of this year's offseason is really going to be. Sometimes it's a week out from spring training and there's a ton of guys who are still available just because of how slow the market is moving. That could, the fact that we are potentially a year out from a work stoppage and certainly a year out from a new CBA, I know teams are going to be a little hesitant to be giving multiple year deals to players. So I guess never say never on these sort of things, but I have a hard time believing that is something that is likely to happen, especially with this group. I mean, you look up and down these group of players, and these are all going to be big money players who you would expect would be connected to multiple year contracts. All right, that's going to do it for the show tonight. Thanks to all of my guests for joining the show, and thanks to you for being tuned in. Our Gas House Gang replay is on the way next, and then we'll be back with you coming up tomorrow. Kevin Wheeler will be back tomorrow for the 5 o'clock hour with Rush Hour Sports. I'll be with him during the 5 o'clock hour, and then I'll have you again tomorrow night, 6 to 8, for a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into